I am beyond excited for today's stream. Okay? I am super excited. We got fucking Comrade Eric coming on. We're going to be talking about the Bible. My favorite topic. I like talking about the Bible. Honestly, I don't know if like Scientology, Heaven's Gate, and the Bible are all kind of tied, depending on the way my fucking cock dangling that day. It really depends. But this is my favorite topic. It is going to be a goddamn good time, a great time. Eric spoke with the one and only, the very great, the very based Baby Gravy recently. And though I disagreed with his takes politically, I appreciated some of the things he had to say, and the fact that he seemed interested in actually having a conversation as opposed to a debate. We're not going to be debating today. We're going to be having a goddamn good conversation. But before we do that, we're going to have a goddamn good dab. Let's go. Get him out. Let's go. Cheers. Depends on the angle of the dangle. Pork nickel gets it. Cheers.
Top dog, bite them all, yeah, I'm burning it up. DPGC, you should be turning it up. CBT, LBC, yeah, we hooking back up. And when they bang us in the club, baby, you got to get up. Cause yeah, they
you
giving
love to
it
see
up.
it.
Low life,
You
yo
truly
life,
do.
we living it up. Taking chances while we dancing in the park.
I want mommy, I want milk, I want to be held, I want to be comforted.
I'm not going to be fucking saying too much about Eric and our conversation yet, because I'm going to be calling him in a couple of moments here. I've never used Google Meets before. We're using Google Meets, so only the good Lord knows if this is going to work. God bless. Dear Lord, ensure that this stream works so that we can spread the message of your word today. But before we do that, chat, this is a conversation that there's a lot to, a lot of moving pieces. I don't know where it's necessarily going to go. There's a few things that I have that I want to talk about that I think are going to be relevant. We will get to that. But, chat, we need to get ourselves in the right state of mind real quickly here, you know? And we can ask for Jesus' help. But at the end of the day, what we really need is the good Lord's holiest. The holy dab, chat. If you join now. Okay. Allow. Hello, good sir. Can you hear me?
I can actually.
Awesome, but I don't think you can see me though.
No, but I see your icon.
Okay.
Let's see that sexy ass face. You're trying to hide it. I get it.
Absolutely, baby.
There it is.
All right, you got it? You got her going?
I see.
All right, awesome. Well, we got you in the church here on the big screen so that everybody in the back can see y'all. But before we get into it, I think that we need to introduce yourself. Can you tell the lovely people at home who you are? Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Okay, well, sorry, I had to pause it because there was like an echo going on.
Is it still going? Oh, well, you just got to mute the tab. I think you got to mute.
Yeah. Let me just mute the tab. Okay, much better. All right, so introducing myself.
Yeah, who are you? What do you do?
Oh, this is like the hardest part of when it comes down to it. I hate talking about myself. Like I'm good at shit talking, but when it comes to like talking about myself in a humble way, I'm just like I don't know what to say.
Hey, you don't even need to be humble. You're not Moses. Like fucking, what are you, the most humble man? And we'll talk about that actually, because I think that has some interesting implications.
All right,
but tell us about yourself. You can be braggadocious if you want.
All right, give it a minute. I'll tie myself on this one. So, long story short, my name is you'll find me on Twitter as Eric McCrae, but I also go by McCrazy, and my YouTube channel is the Pleb, the plebeian for long term. I guess plebeian would be the long form version of that word. Basically, I started this YouTube channel a while back just because even though I have my disagreements with people, it's still nice to open up that discourse as to why I have my disagreements. Like, am I just actually bigoted, or do I have a legitimate reason why I believe in what I believe in? And sometimes when I take certain stances and down certain hills, I'm like, maybe it's a little bit bigoted, maybe a little bit.
well, hey, if I'm doing my job well today, we'll explore that.
Okay, and yes, also I grew up. Well, I didn't grow up Mormon, but I got baptized at 16, and I served a mission for a couple years, and I left the church at like 21, 22 years old because, newsflash, I like cock and I like vagina, so it's like I can't really be Mormon and be queer. And so in my mind, I go, okay, you can't play mental gymnastics in a church that says no to homosexuality, and that's like 90% of Christians in general. So. That's one of my self rules. It's like, okay, I'm not going to play mental gymnastics. If I believe in this and it's for a good cause or a good reason to believe in this, I need to disregard what doesn't work with it. So that's like a little background about myself.
Okay, so you are currently a Christian, correct?
I'm a very lazy, horrible Christian. I am not like, to me, a good Christian is someone who's straight and married with kids and, the whole 9 yards. Ben Shapiro is a better Christian than me. And he's just,
fuck me. Oh, we will get into that. Oh my God. Okay, awesome. So wonderful. Great to formally meet you. I did watch your discussion with Baby Gravy. I got some notes on a couple things you said that were kind of the things that I'm like, hey, I really want to fucking speak to this dude. A couple of things that I was like, hey, that's awesome. I really like that. And a couple of things that are like, hey, fucking, I think this guy genuinely has great intent, but I just think he just needs, maybe just doesn't know X, Y, or Z about certain things. And we can talk about the Bible. We can talk about your views. We can talk about those types of things and skepticism and all that. I have so many things that we could talk about. Progressive Christianity versus fundamentalist Christianity. We could go down many, many tangents. I am the king of tangents. For those who don't know me, I'm TALORX, TALORX Live. I talk about destructive high control groups, cults, religion, and how it bleeds into politics and how the way we see the world and do things. So that's what I talk about. I'm not an expert in that. I do not have any form of degrees or anything like that in fucking biblical scholarship, but I grew up in a cult. Pardon?
You're better for it.
There you go. But I very, very much love the Bible, learning more about the Bible, cults, those types of things, as I grew up in a destructive high control group or a cult Christian young earth creationist school, which I'm sure we will talk about as it comes in. I was a very, very devout Christian for a very long time. Damn. And was also a libertarian kind of right-wing kind of guy. And one of the main things that really got me, in the words of the great Rihanna, fucking got me a boner alert, was fucking just hearing some of your fucking story and shit, and it sounded very similar to where I was in many ways. And I'm like, hey, yo, I need to chat with this dude, fucking, so that's great. So I used to be a more right-wing. I was never bigoted. I never hated gay people or anything like that. I was more the classic, fucking those goddamn poors and social assistants is making it so that I'm not getting mine. I was one of those,
Yeah, okay.
And then I learned and I grew and I had that skeptic mindset and wanted to fucking learn and grow. And I did the ideology test, as you said, which was one of the things that I really enjoyed, is what would make you change your mind? And if the answer is nothing, then that's ideology, and you need to fucking give your goddamn head a shake, and grow the fuck up. Or we can explore some shit. So one thing that I did kind of just want to start on this with, and you touched on it here. You touched on it a bit with Baby Gravy, but I want to get more into it a little bit. And do you have the link to your YouTube channel? Chat's asking for it.
Shoot. I mean, on me, I guess I do, but I didn't put it anywhere.
The Plebeian?
The Pleb. I redid the name, so it's the Pleb.
Just
and
the Pleb?
Yes, and I still need to edit Baby Gravy's video. The only problem was just this past week, I've been going down this like journalistic creative, rabbit hole with the whole entire issue in Israel, and it's like it's been really depressing. So I've been trying to focus on other things, but it's depressing.
That's depressing as fuck.
Yeah, I know. I picked the wrong career. Like in my class, I did script writing and journalism, and I did not know journalism would require me to have like a mental toughness because I've seen so much bullshit online.
Dude, have you ever watched Democracy Now? The news channel Democracy Now?
A couple of times on YouTube, right?
Yeah, Amy Goodman is her name, and I guess and Juan Gonzalez, but I'm mainly talking about Amy Goodman. They are one of the greatest fucking news sources in terms of just like news reporting, and I highly recommend them. But goddamn, fucking USAO calls her the Queen of Doom, and it's so true because like I can only imagine like fuck, she's an amazing lady with a heart of just gold, but fuck, dude, the shit she has to report on every day. And for decades, she's been doing this for fucking ever, dude. And like they report on the stories that others don't talk about, the horrible like war crimes against people, shit like that, you know? God damn, you gotta be tough, dude.
Yeah.
I saw a picture of a dead dog in fucking Palestine, and I almost had a mental breakdown. I was like, no. So I couldn't imagine.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. Thank you, baby gravy. Just posting links in chat.
Oh, okay. Oh, by the way, tell him I said hi.
Yes, Eric says hi, baby gravy. but sorry, I kind of went on a bit of a tangent there. Get used to it; it'll happen. And I wanted to learn a little bit more about your Mormonism. You live in Utah.
Yeah.
Did you grow up part of the LDS Church? Can you tell me a bit about that? How did that happen?
It's the funniest thing. So I'll try to condense it, but I was born and raised in East Palo Alto in the Bay Area. So California. So then I want to say at the age of 12 or 11, we moved from the Bay Area to the Central Valley, which was Modesto, Merced, Stockton area. It was cheaper in the early 2000s compared to the Bay Area. So I moved there, and I find out that the Central Valley has like a lot of members of the church, the Mormon church. And we end up over, I guess, the span of 10 years being in there, my brother got baptized, and then later on, he left the church because he liked to smoke weed.
Baptized Mormon?
Yeah, baptized Mormon. But he lasted for a couple of years, but he didn't like it because they kept telling him he couldn't smoke weed.
Yo, tell your brother to fucking hit me up. That's my kind of dude.
He's a Modesto now, but I'll give him a call sometime.
Hey, yo, fucking Eric's brother, fucking twitch.tv/TALORX live Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. Fucking our Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Come on down. We'll smoke hoots together. I won't judge you.
That offer.
Let's go.
But it was funny because I want to say a few years later, I ended up joining the same church through some friends of mine. When I say Mormons, these were like the most stereotypical Mormon. For example, you know how they look, blonde hair, blue eyed. That was them. They had 13 kids. So this family was very Mormon. And so I got baptized at 16, getting to know them. And it was fun, but it was also weird too, because here's the kicker. Every person I hung around years later either came out the closet as trans or gay. And that was my crew in the Mormon church. And it's like, this is before I even knew I was actually queer. And I'm just like, this is really weird. But anyway, I mean, before I left the church, I went on my 2-year mission. I served
Thank you, Sedan Hussein, 420.
Yeah,
Sorry.
No, you're fine. I served in Nashville, Tennessee between 2012 and 2014. And, I kept preaching the gospel, kept, learning about the church.
Your mission was in the U.S.?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Like, you didn't? Were you disappointed that you didn't get shipped overseas somewhere cool? And you're like, really. Fuck, I'm going to Tennessee?
Actually, no, because in my mind, I didn't really want to learn another language. Because a lot of missionaries who do go to like Mexico or Russia, there's like a lot of mental health problems when it comes to trying to adjust to a whole new world.
On top of being away from your family, not being able to communicate, being told to fuck off every second of every day, knocking on doors.
Exactly.
Additional stress you don't need.
Exactly. And
being honestly, watched by your partner all the time.
Exactly. You know
was it rule 72?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a pain in the ass. There were times where I would leave my companion, just ditch him, and they'd be like, "Where's your companion?" Like, I don't know. I can't do it anymore.
Yeah. How was that time for you? And did you serve the full 2 years?
Yeah. I served the full 2 years, and honestly, the first 7 months was hell because it was like when you it's like kind of like school. When you go to high school, it's like, oh, this is only 7 months of 4 years. Holy shit! Can I do this?
Yeah.
But that's how I felt for the first 7 months of my mission. But then I got used to it, and I ended up getting used to the people in the South. The biggest challenge I had for me when it came down to the South is trying to convince people that Mormonism isn't like the boogeyman that they made it out to be, because you may have a Baptist and a Catholic go at it back and forth, or a Lutheran, and dislike each other. But when it comes to a Mormon entering the room, they all look at the Mormon as the odd person out. And I get it.
Yeah. Do you want to hear a great old Jewish joke?
Oh, yeah.
Why did God create Mormons?
Huh.
So the Christians know how the Jews feel.
Oh, my God. That's...
Oh, fucking let's go!
That's accurate. No, that is accurate.
It is accurate, and maybe we'll get into more of that. But if you ever wondered why do like Jewish people not accept Jesus as the Messiah? Why don't they understand Christ? Why don't they get it? Like we preach to them all day. It's essentially like trying to teach Moroni to a strong Christian. It's like, dude, what the fuck are you saying to me? I read the original. I don't need your fucking sequel or your trilogy.
Right. I like my OG version. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I like it before that fucking guy came in and tried to ruin everything. The fucking zero fucking CE Joseph Smith.
Oh, God.
Actually, I think we'll get into Paul. I think Paul is more Joseph Smith than Jesus, but that's another topic. So on that mission, how did that mission help with your faith? I guess maybe let's take back what got you in. Like, I know you said your brother, but you must have been a fairly true believer to go on a mission. Am I like what got you believing in Mormonism? Were you a Christian growing up, and then it was just kind of a natural progression, or?
I think, well, it's funny because growing up in the Bay Area, we went to church. We weren't avid churchgoers, but we went to church enough to where we understood that Jesus Christ was our savior. But I think from what I recall as a kid, it was like a non-denominational church just down the street from your house. And at the age of 16, 15 years old, it wasn't like I was going to church by the time we moved to, Modesto, the valley part of California. And I was just, farting around doing nothing. I had no real direction. I was starting up sports, so that gave me some direction. But in terms of like spirituality, I had nothing to go off of until I started hanging around a bunch of Mormon families, and I started seeing how they lived their life. And I saw my life and my family. I'm like, okay, my mom and dad are, they're not the best examples in terms of, Christianity, but at the same time, they're trying their best. But then I saw other members of the church and how they lived their life, and it seemed more wholesome. There's more guidance. There was more
of the Mormon church or the Christian church?
Yeah, the Mormon church.
Okay.
And they were just doing more things that to me seemed more wholesome. And so in my mind, I was like, oh, there's structure there. And to the Mormon credit, even though I don't believe in it anymore, they did give me a lot of structure in terms of my belief in Jesus and, understanding the Bible more, because they do tell you to read the Bible and the Book of Mormon as hand in hand. And I can appreciate how they drove that into my head, especially for my 2 years in my mission.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And when it comes to, and I know there's side books, but like the Doctrine and Covenants and the DLC, the Doctrine and Covenants, the Pearl of Great Price. Did you download the DLC and did you play it frequently?
I did, actually.
You did? Yeah.
The Pearl of Great Price was the best. It was like Dark Souls 2. Like, was it what's that DLC in Dark Souls 2?
I'm not too sure, but
I forgot what it was called. But there's a good DLC to Dark Souls 2 that everyone talks about. That's pretty much Pearl of Great Price. It's like, oh, this is some pretty deep shit.
You get the fucking Book of Abraham costume, and you're just like, yeah, let's go, baby. You got your fucking unlocked Urim and Thummim, and you're just ready to fucking go, baby.
I need my hat first.
Absolutely. Yeah, but you got to make sure to go talk to the lady in the town to get the seer stones first, and then you unlock the hat. It's a progression, you go do that. I always try to go straight to the hat, and I forget the seer stone. So,
what's funny? I still hang out with a lot of Mormons today, and I'm gonna laugh when they see this video because they still believe in their church. And the thing is, I don't dissuade them from it. We have fun talks about the church and how we differ, but I never want this to come across to them like I'm like shitting on their faith.
Absolutely. And if you have any Mormon friends who see this and they are like, hey, I like the way that fucking atheist guy talks. He's fun but respectful. Hey, I would love to speak with them too. I've had some ex-Mos and some ex-Jehovah's Witnesses on, but never any active members. So, hey, hit me up. Hit me
All right,
up.
I'll let them know if they
I'll
ask.
even drink the non-caffeinated Diet Coke for him as a sign of respect.
Oh, sorry, you go first.
Oh, no, you go first. That's fine.
No, I was going to say, it's funny you mentioned that because a lot of the missionaries who I hung around with in the mission, we stay hanging out today, when you talk to them now, they're a lot more wizened about the church. As in, like, even though they're strong members still, they got still in the temple, did all the 9 works, they have their family and whatnot. They now talk to me like, oh, even though I know now the church isn't perfect, I'm just trying to figure it out now. They're in that thinking process, which if you were to ask us in the mission, a lot of us was like brainwashed enough to say crazy things like, oh, I would serve again, which I would never.
Yeah.
Ever. God, I don't know. To me, serving is a lot better when you can just volunteer every now and again. But I would never do the 2-year mission again. But back in the day, if you would ask me 10 years ago, I would have said, yes, I will serve again. Yeah. That was stupid me talking.
Yeah, I would almost argue that it's only service if you choose to go, and it's forced labor if you don't.
True.
But yeah, no, for sure. Sorry?
No, I was going to say, that sounds like the gulag, actually.
Yeah. Fucking sounds like the U.S. prison system.
True.
I'm a greasy Canadian, by the way. Ours shit's
nice.
not much better, but enough to poke fun.
I respect the Canadians because on my mission, we had a few Canadians on our mission, and they were fun. Out of all the Mormons, the Canadians and Polynesian Mormons were the best ones to hang around.
You're goddamn right they were.
It's only the state ones that bothered me so much. They were so, I don't know, if you ever moved to Utah, you'll notice they're sticklers for the rule. But Canadians and Polynesians, they did not care. Like, okay, just have a good time. I'm like, thank you.
Canadians just fucking giver, bud. That's what we do. Fucking, like, we legalized marijuana in 2016, but we considered it legal since like 2002, dog. Like, we don't give a fuck. Fucking Canadians are a lot chiller than Americans. Mainly because fucking we know that, hey, yo, bud, it's okay if you fuck up there. Hey, just go get some free healthcare. It's fine.
True. No, I won't lie to you. One of my biggest fears is just getting injured and having a fat bill. It's like, damn.
Yeah. That's so crazy. Like, that's so crazy to me. And like, don't get me wrong, Canada's healthcare system is not perfect. Okay. There are serious issues, but I know I break my arm. Like, I'm not thinking about how much that's going to cost. You know what I mean? Like,
as an American, you do.
Like, and that to like the rest of the world is just so mind boggling, dude. Like, wait, you have to pay to give birth to a baby? What do you mean?
Right? And the ambulance too. If you were Google how much an ambulance costs in America, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I'll just walk.
I think it's like 12 grand or some shit like that. Like, here you have to pay sometimes for some situations. Like, if it's not an emergency, I think it's like $700. But like in the States, it's like thousands of dollars.
Yeah. Have you seen the anime Cyberpunk on Netflix?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, it's based off Cyberpunk 2077, the video game, but they came out with the anime. When I recommend you watch, it's really good. But point is, it's a future. It's set in the future, and in that future, you have a medical system where if you pay for it, you get the best help ever.
So the U.S.
I mean, yes, but it's way more elite than Cyberpunk. But
yeah.
They exploit you too, though.
Yeah.
So. I mean, kind of like the U.S. I mean,
I'm sure that's exactly what it's based on.
Fair enough.
It's almost like every single dystopian fucking film or game or anime is based on fucking U.S. right-wing politics. It's pretty crazy.
It's funny because I don't know. It's just I'm libertarian, right? Strong libertarian. Yeah, I've been so since 2017, like the Ron Paul types. But even I have to admit, after reading into libertarianism and capitalism and playing video games like BioShock, where there's fair critique of capitalistic ideas, in my mind, I go, shit, I'm too broke to be a libertarian.
Yo, dude, do you want to hear what was kind of the fucking kind of thing that kind of shifted me from from libertarian to not a libertarian?
Huh.
And is a lot of different things, obviously, builds up over time, questions. And then I had one buddy I really respected, and I posted some stupid ass dumb libertarian shit on Twitter as a comment to buddy's shit. And it was actually Facebook. And I said to him, as a capitalist, I blah, 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 blah. And my buddy that I love and respect very much replied to me and said, "You're not a capitalist, you're a bootlicker." And at first I'm like, fuck you, dude. And then exactly kind of like what you're saying happened. I started thinking, wait, Maybe I'm not. What did he mean? Because like this isn't a dude who's just there to talk shit. It's a dude who cared and wanted to like get a point across to me, right? Like he's not just some asshole. And I looked into it and I'm like, oh fuck. I'm a bootlicker. I'm doing unpaid lip service for the billionaires while they suck me off, and not in a good way.
True.
You know? And it's just like, oh goddamn. And that was one of the main things that really cracked my view. And it was just like, ah, shit. So, but yo, moral of the story is, hey yo, if you want to be a libertarian, good on you. But stick around. Fucking people like Baby Gravy and myself. I know that when I was more of a right winger, the typical left winger was like the blue-haired, yelling, triggered feminazi who can't say joke, haha. Well, now that I am a fucking crazy communist, fucking extremist leftist, fucking, I'm friends with those people, and I realize, oh wait, it was all a lie. Yeah, there's some fucked up people on Twitter. Okay, like Twitter is the worst place for all people. Okay, I hate everyone on Twitter. Okay, I don't care who you are. I don't care your political ideology. You're probably a fucking idiot. Okay,
I'm pretty retarded. That's fair.
Twitter is not the best place. You know, like we all have our issues, but don't let what Steven Crowder says about leftists actually taint your view on what real leftists are. Give it a chance. Give it a shot. You know,
it's always tempting to dip more into leftism, but it's the like you said, the blue-haired feminist
Welcome,
that turned me off. After 2016, I was like, okay, I can't be left. I thought I was more left-leaning, but like, no, I'm not.
So to that point, so like taking in like the crazy and like nothing wrong with being a feminist or blue hair, like shout out, like y'all are real ones, okay? We're talking about the
let's go with that.
What? Sorry?
But don't be the unhinged ones. Let's go with that one.
I think that you can be unhinged, and there's a time and a place for hinge, and there's a time and a place for unhinge. That being said, let's just like say there is a subset of like fucking leftists who are just nuts. And I agree. There are some nuts people. And like if that turns you off of leftism, why don't the fucking nuts rightoids push you off of being on the right? And we'll get back into the Bible stuff because this isn't really related, but like, why don't you think, oh, well, what about these fucking Nazis who are super right wing, or these like Proud Boy fucks, or these Patriot Front, or these, you know, oh wow, these right wingers seem to be hanging out with Nazis, even like the chill ones, or AF Pack, or TPUSA, or like, did those people not give you that same, oh God, why would I ever associate with these people because of them? Because they are on your team. I will say that, like, I'm sure there are some gnarly leftists who I'm probably like, probably not many, because I'm as left as it gets, but I'm sure there are some that are a little out there. But like, why?
I mean, for me, it boils down to the conversation we can have. For example, if I disagreed with somebody on the right or even the far right, even as libertarians were the odd ones out, there's this idea that people will still want to debate me about my ideas, because I will always disagree with people on the right with certain ideas, and I feel more welcomed to have that disagreement. Versus if I was on the left and if you don't toe the party line specifically, it's like a parity spiral. You get kicked out by the left, and I've seen it with Anna Kasparian. And I'm like, Anna Kasparian is still left leaning. She just has. That's like has moderate views though that are just more commonsensical, but she's still on the left, and I hope she doesn't go right. I hope she stays on the left because they need that. They need sanity. So
yeah, like, is there some purity testing and stuff on the left that maybe some people can chill on? Sure. Anna Kasparian is she's the TYT one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, she said some like fucked up shit that was pretty goddamn reactionary. And on the left, the difference is that, so like, I got some pretty wild shit. I say some wild ass shit on Twitch. Like you said, like, hey, like, you know, talking about normal, and I said, hey, I can say there will be nuance, but I can't say there will be normal. I'm sure you've probably gotten the point by now. I'm a little out there. I said some wild shit, and obviously I'm not big enough for people to care too much, but like, the fucking left, the difference is that the left will critique you because they want you to be better and they want you to stop espousing bullshit. The right will just genocide you. They don't actually care about free speech. They care about getting their ideas out. And like, I could send you, and we'll get back onto Bible shit, but I could send you countless right-wingers saying, we don't care about free speech. We just say it because we care about our speech. And by our, I mean straight white males. Straight white males are the speech that is allowed. and they only let other speech until it's time to drop the fucking hammer. And
Wait,
look at
so
every right wing, like fascist fucking state.
So are we okay? So you're listening to all the Nick Fuenteses, the AKA the fucking virgins on the right, which
So-
I would ignore them.
So no, but what I'm talking about is the extremes on both sides, and like what pushes you away from one or the other, right? And
Yeah.
that's what I'm talking about. That's what this whole conversation is about. So yeah, I am talking about the fringes, because if you say the fucking fringe leftists push you away from being left, why isn't Nick Fuentes saying we want your free speech taken away? We want you dead. Why does that not push you away from the right any more than some triggered leftist saying fucking, hey, you probably shouldn't use slurs, or, you know, say that I'm not a valid human being?
It's really a threat level. Like, I'm not afraid, like, of
So a triggered leftist is a higher threat than a Nick Fuentes Nazi fascist type.
Yes, because one can get away with burning down cities while the other one gets the, you know, the death stare by all of society, and rightfully so. But the problem is only one side really gets the death stare.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm sorry. You go.
No, sorry. I was just gonna say, like, you can finish your shit, but like, every word that was said there is like totally incorrect, like factually incorrect, literally and factually incorrect.
Okay,
But,
okay,
and
fair
maybe
enough.
we should book a time to come back to this and do did the cities burn, and does the left get away with crime when the right doesn't? Because, dog, I'm going to bring you so much fucking data that you're going to be saying, God damn it, if I really want to stay true to my ideology framework that I stated, I being you, what would change your mind? I would hope that data and actually being correct factually would change your mind. And I will bring that data, and we can have that conversation another time, because that is just so incorrect.
I'm just saying, since 2016, I've seen only people on the left really tear shit up and get away with it. Don't get me wrong, there's punishment there, but to a lesser extent compared to people on the right. Like Charlottesville, I'm not a fan of white supremacists, but the antagonizing that the left did that day made it 10 times worse than what it could have been. It could have been a bunch of rednecks chilling, doing and saying dumb shit, and they would have been gone. But when you antagonize groups like that, it only gets worse. But that's just my point, though.
Okay. So
But yeah.
what I will say is, please, we should talk again at another time about that, and bring your data and your sources on that one. Because I would love to have that conversation. The issue with me is I'm such a tangent guy, if you can't tell, that I know for a fact that I will go off for 3.5 hours on that. You know, like I've had a cabin built in the Wishy Woods for a couple of years now, and I've been just waiting to have guests over. But we can't go off on that topic. But that is an interesting take. I will certainly say. That's an interesting take. It is spicy. Okay, but let's go back to your mission, and then we'll get back into the Bible stuff. This is not a debate. Okay, I have to go. Yeah, sorry guys. If you came for a debate, you should probably leave. Sorry, did you say that your time on your mission, did it strengthen or did it weaken your faith in Mormonism? Or the
I'd say
Latter-day
weekend did.
Okay. And how long after your mission did you leave?
About 1.5 years, 2 years later. About 1.5 years. Yeah.
1.5 years? Okay.
Yeah.
Was it something in particular? Was it a bunch of stuff, or?
It was just for years in the back of my mind, I always felt like I was queer, but I didn't understand if I was actually queer. But after 2 years of studying the scriptures and really doing soul searching and learning more about church history and how you feel about the truth behind church history and how you are, internally, I just came to the conclusion of, you know what? The church really isn't for me. And I tried to make it happen for 1 year, but I was like, nah, I'm not going to be one of those Christians who are queer going to church. That to me, that's lame. I'll go to church, but it's not like I'm going to like be a part of the church, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like I still believe in going just to visit and pray to God or whatever, but I don't believe in the tenets of Mormonism like I used to.
Yeah. Fair. And the Mormon church is also super racist. Until 1978, but even then they were still, super fucking racist.
They have their hot takes.
they certainly do. So fucking. Oh, sorry. Continue.
I was gonna say, have you seen those old videos about black people? The old cartoons explaining black people.
Like, have I seen old racist cartoons?
Yeah, about like Mormon cartoons pertaining to black people.
No, but I have heard Brigham Young's things that he's had to say.
That too, yeah. Well, on your next stream, if you want to, you can go over like a funny cartoon on YouTube where it talks about black people and white people and why they're black. And this is like an old school Mormon cartoon, by the way, from like the 80s.
Yeah, the Lamanites and the Curse of Cain and all of that.
Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah, that's one word for it. Funny, fucking horrible. You pick. It's up to you. So you said that you left the Mormon church due to your sexuality and them being hostile to it. And then what drew you to Christianity then?
Well, I mean, to be fair, I guess Mormons are Christian. They're just like a different breed of Christian. But overall,
yeah, like they're like a Squirtle. Like a Blastoise is technically a Squirtle. You know what I mean?
Fair enough.
It came from it, Honestly, no, he's probably more like fucking, like
it's
Judaism. Yeah, Deoxys.
Yes,
I was gonna say,
a Pokemon, but it's so out there.
That's fair. I was gonna say more. It's like like Judaism is like fucking Charmander, Christianity's Charmeleon, Mormonism's Charizard, and then like Heaven's Gate is like Mega Charizard. You know what I mean? Where like they all stem from each other and just evolve and grow.
Yeah.
Fair. Okay, but yeah, sorry.
But sorry, to answer your question about why I chose Christianity, that's the only religion to me that gives me some type of grace for my inadequacies. Every other religion is do or die, But with Christianity, there's always that hope for a better afterlife. There's the hope. Doesn't mean you're guaranteed to get in, obviously. The narrow is what's that old phrase in the Bible? The narrow isn't straight.
The fucking about like the straight and narrow fucking.
Well, yeah, like I'm paraphrasing, but pretty much they just say, getting into heaven won't be easy. It's not an easy path to get through. But at the same time, through the atonement, I feel like that's a better promise than whatever Allah or Judaism or Hinduism preaches to us.
Okay, so, fuck, I don't know where to go from. I do know where to go, but I have so many different places because the whole inadequacies and those types of things are very interesting to me, especially when stated that it's the only religion that helps you with your inadequacies. What are your inadequacies that you feel comfortable talking about, and where do those come from? What makes you feel you're inadequate?
Growing up, and maybe did you grow up Christian before you
very
became
much? Very
okay.
much.
Yeah, I'm retarded.
Yeah, as a young Earth creationist.
Yeah. Sorry.
Let's chill a little on the R slur though. You just say like let's not say the R word a little bit. Okay, let's chill.
Right. Sorry, I'm special.
No, it's okay. I'm autistic, and like everyone in my audience is autistic. So let's just chill on it. But continue. Sorry. Don't mean to leftist word Nazi you, but
no. That's fine. Let's see. What point was I making?
Inadequacies growing up. I grew up Christian myself, young Earth creationist. You're asking me if I grew up Christian.
Oh, okay. You're asking about my inadequacies. Okay, so basically, for me personally, my one of my inadequacies is I don't think I personally live up to the tenets of what a good man is, only because sometimes I am more lustful or sometimes I am more slothful,
More
sometimes
human.
Exactly, more human. And for me, I do my best to stay away from certain things. Like, for example, even though I go out of my way to do certain things that are considered charitable acts, I don't want to puff myself up and brag about it. Like if someone wants to do something with me or they ask me a question, I'll tell them where I'm going and I'm busy doing something. But I don't want to ever feel like I'm better than somebody because I do something that they probably don't do, because that's a very fucked up way to do charitable acts. But also when it comes to, that's more how I feel about the positive things that I do. But when it comes to negative things, for example, even though I'm someone who is queer and I enjoy, my vices, it doesn't mean I could be a carnal asshole about it and just be lustful and go over the top with it. There should be moderation in all things. And so I do my best to control myself, which is why I try my best to also avoid going to bars too often, or going into clubs or queer pride parades, because to me it's all just lustful pride. It's not healthy for the soul to do that much, to yourself internally.
Okay,
If that makes sense.
I get what you're saying, and we'll come back to the lust and stuff. But you said something earlier about you don't feel that you necessarily live up to the tenets of being a man. What does that mean? And where do you find those tenets? Are they biblical?
Well, I mean, I guess technically half of it would be biblical. The other half would be, well, what was your grandpa doing at the age of 31, or
Fucking
20?
dying for not getting a vaccine. Your fucking grandpa was dead because he couldn't get a vaccine. He was working in a coal mine. We should want better than your grandpa.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying that, like, am I doing enough though for myself in order for me to be more prepared to start a family one day? I do want to start a family, just not anytime soon, but I do in the future want to. But at the same time, I feel like a lot of people jump into this thing of, oh, I want to start a family, and they're not really prepped for it mentally because they're still technically, and I'm not going to say childish, but they're not putting on enough muscle memory to prepare themselves for manhood in the sense of being a father and a provider.
Okay, so fucking being a father is something that's important to you, and that's something that you want to do. Like, so you're saying that you want to be able to be a good father, like, and that's something that you want, or something that you feel society wants of you.
I feel like that's something I want, just because I grew up around, some interesting folk who were fathers, but they weren't always the best. So in my mind, I'm just like, okay, let me try and do things the way that things should be done.
And what does should be done mean?
Let's see. How was your father, for example?
My father was an amazing man. We had our ups and downs, financially and those types of things. But my dad grew up in a very abusive household. Horrible. His brother and his sister became very abusive parents. And he fucking was the one who said, I'm going to break that chain and that cycle of abuse. And I thank him very much, because he very much could have been a horrible, horrible man.
Yeah.
He was a great father, though, like, I disagree with like some of his politics and religion and those types of things. He did everything that he could to be there for me when I needed him in the ways that I needed him.
Yeah, see, that's good. I mean, to be respectful to my dad, because I've since buried the hatchet with him. I no longer have this sort of animosity towards him. But growing up, he was not like the example of a good dad. It was his mom and my mom's mom and my aunties who helped raise me growing up back in the day. And so I saw through them what they expected in a man because of how he presented himself, and he wasn't always the best. So that's me. Actually, I appreciate your dad, because he could have easily been a scumbag, but he wasn't.
Sure. Yeah.
And so that's what I'm trying to do myself. I'm trying to make sure before I get into something, I don't become a absolute scumbag, because anybody can be a piece of shit, know? And all it takes is one bad day to turn you into an asshole. So that's why, for me personally, I try my best to think, okay, do I have good self-control? Am I being overly lustful? Am I being overly boastful? Am I worthy of these things? Stuff like, I try and check myself.
Okay. We'll come back to the lustfulness and those things, because that is biblical, and I feel like it has a lot to do with that. You said previously that half comes from the Bible in terms of what it means to be a man, and the other comes from, please correct me if this is an inaccurate summarization of what you said, wanting to be a good parent because you want to be a parent and wanting to ensure that your child has the best possible life.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. Awesome. And that's great. Wanting to be a good parent, if you genuinely want to be a parent, wonderful. That's great. And I only want good parents. When it comes to the half that are biblical, because that part there, that half, doesn't seem like that should cause you any guilt or shame or feelings of inadequacy. That should give you hope and wanting to do things, like having a family and being a good parent.
Well, it does, but you know that if you're not living up to those tenets that you already know and read about, then you probably feel bad. It's kind of like a shame technique, which I believe in shaming. Don't get me wrong. I think shame is a useful tool when used properly.
Okay, so let's talk about when it's not used properly, such as the Bible. So the shame, once again, I want to separate that shame comes from, like what you said here, the other parts that you've read before. Are you referring to the Bible? Like when you say parts that I've read before?
Yeah. Yeah.
And what biblical tenets do you feel you're not living up to? Is it just the lust? Is that what makes you feel inadequate?
Okay. Well, no, that's just one of the many things one of the few things that I named off. But there's plenty of things out there that I would consider myself, not up to par with. For again, just with the simple thing of what am I doing now in terms of, not just finances, but just living. Am I living a quality life? How much good am I putting into the world? Like I said, I'll go out of my way and I'll do some charitable acts here and there, and I try and do more and more. But I also got to balance my work life, but in my school life, because I'm still taking my creative, online courses. And the biggest thing is just, am I doing enough?
Yep.
If you were to read you read the Bible, and anybody in your comment section who's read it, men were always staying busy. They were helping the family, helping out their society. Were they? I'd say so. They were always doing things. Well, the good ones who followed the Lord, who didn't follow.
Who? That's great. So, who was the most righteous man on earth, chosen to be one of the only to survive?
Noah.
Correct. After leaving the ark, what happened? And a lot of people were enslaved and harmed because of this verse. What happened after the flood? It's pretty much, okay, here's the genealogies of Noah and all that stuff. What happened to Ham, sorry. Do you know the story of Ham and Noah?
It's been so long.
No, that's okay. That's okay. Yeah. That's okay. So essentially what happened was that Noah had a vineyard. And what he did was and this is in the Bible, this isn't a fucking goddamn atheist, Noah got drunk off his wine. So he obviously wasn't fucking working. He was having a goddamn good time. He was getting drunk, fucking hanging out in his vineyard, getting drunk as fuck, and got so drunk he passed out naked.
He did just save the human race. I feel like you're owed one.
Okay. You asked this question to Baby Gravy. So I'm going to ask this question to you. Have you ever heard of the term cognitive dissonance?
Yeah. I love that word. I love that word.
Me too. And it's what happens when your expectations of reality and reality don't line. And then so you try to make a reason for it.
Yeah, you try to make it make sense.
Absolutely. Like fucking Noah was just having a good time because he was human, and the people in the Bible were also human, hanging out, fucking being lazy, getting drunk, having a goddamn good time at his fucking vineyard. It doesn't matter if the fucking world just flooded and he was on a boat for a year. It doesn't matter. My dude was drunk as fuck, having a good time, getting drunk as fuck, naked as shit, and passing out. Fucking passing out naked as fuck, dude. Have you ever had that good of a time? Have you ever been that wild, Eric, that you've gotten so goddamn drunk you've passed out fucking naked in a tent?
Not in a tent, but yeah, I've had a good time.
Okay, there you go. Fair. This is the most righteous man. Noah, a very righteous man. The only one seen as righteous on the entire planet. Not only getting drunk as fuck, but enjoying his time, passing out. And then his son Ham saw his cock, and said, haha, look at that cock. He didn't say, haha, look at that cock. He went to his brothers and said, haha, his fucking dad's naked. They walked in backwards, and Ham and his grandson and Canaan was cursed. And that verse actually justified slavery for many years. Curse of Ham. Y'all can look into it. But the reason that I bring that up is that I think we have these views of these people in the past. I don't think Noah or anybody in the Torah existed. Torah being the first 5 books, the Pentateuch, existed. And I think they're just stories. So I will put that out right now. But even them, even the mythicized people are just that. Human. They laugh. They cry. They get drunk. They rape, they murder, they fucking pass out. They're lazy as shit. They work hard when they need to, but they're human. And who else was just lazy for a day? Who is the only one more righteous than Noah, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and Moses? Who is more righteous?
I mean,
who's more, and Jesus, who's more righteous than, I guess, depending on your view of Jesus, who is more holy than them, than the most holy people in the Bible? Who's the holiest?
Technically, it would be Jesus, but I couldn't. Yeah.
Depending on your view of Jesus, you could be correct. The answer is God.
Yeah.
What did God do on the seventh day?
He rested.
Is God lazy? Is he slothful?
Well, but I think the point though that you're missing out is they had feats. They were doing something that was amazing versus just, I'm not saying I didn't earn, my bullshit, but at the same time, I feel like I would have to contribute so much for me to earn something like that.
I think that you're putting too much on yourself, and I think that fucking I would say that fucking even Judaism would say that you're doing too much. Christianity would not. Here's the reason why I bring up this whole thing that may seem like, what are we even talking about? Earlier you said that Christianity was the only religion that made you feel like you could be saved from your inadequacies. Before I say the next part here, do you feel like you are sinful? Like, are you a sinful person?
Of course I am.
Of course. And I'm so glad you said the words, of course. Why do you say of course?
Because listen, I'm not going to talk about my past, but I've definitely done some dumb shit to where I'm like, okay, I'm a sinful person. So let me try and stay away from bad influences that easily influence me. So I know I'm a sinful person.
Are we all fucking sinners?
Yeah. Yeah. In the eyes of God. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So here's the thing and obviously you can't lump all Christians and all Jewish people into the same group. There are as many denominations as there are people in pews. That the main difference, one of the things that, like, if I was ever to become religious again, I would probably, become a Ben Noah, which is a righteous Gentile, which is somebody who takes upon Judaism as their religion, but isn't Jewish or doesn't, get circumcised and go through all the shit. Here's the difference. Though you say that Christianity in your eyes is the only religion that says that, you're okay for your inadequacies, it's also the one that says you are born broken and commanded to be well. You are born a sinner, and there is nothing you can do, Eric. There's nothing you can do. You're disgusting.
No, I'm in a fallen state.
You're an absolute abomination. We all are. Disgusting, useless. We should have honestly all probably just been chopped off. Only by the grace of Christ are you even potentially not a disgusting, despicable thing in the eyes of God. You are disgusting.
You sound like a preacher.
Oh, fucking A, I'll put the preacher chords on. You won't be able to hear it on your side, but I got the preacher side. You are disgusting. Fuck. You need the Lord to protect you. You are a sinner. You were born in sin. When Eve took the bite of the knowledge fruit, we knew that we were cursed. You women will be cursed with the pangs of childbearing. You men will toil, and dust will come up for you. You are cursed upon the Lord. You are cursed. Sorry, I had music on my side. But that's what it is. And only by Jesus, only by the Lord taking on your sins on Calvary are you forgiven. His pain was because of you. Your sins are on him. He died because of you, Eric. He died because of me, Eric. He died because of Lenny. Welcome, Lenny. Hope you're doing well in chat. He died because of all of us. You are disgusting, and you are fucking lucky Jesus came. Wow. No wonder you feel guilty. No wonder. Holy shit. I would too.
You're not wrong.
I'm not wrong. I grew up in this, and I was told this my whole life, and you were told this your whole life. Whereas the more Jewish view is, no, Eric, my son, no. You were made in the eyes of Hashem. You were made in God's image. You are God's perfect being that he created to be you. Will you make mistakes? Yes. And do you know what you do? You, with an earnest heart, say, I'm sorry, and I want to do better. Why? Not because I'm a piece of shit. Not because I'm a disgusting person. Not because I'm a sinner. But because I am made in the eyes of God. I am made in his image. He put his special power into me and created me in his image. And I expect more of myself because of that. Not that, oh my God, they tortured and murdered this motherfucker because you're a piece of shit. And that view, that, Eric, dude, you have nothing to feel inadequate about. You aren't a bad person. Because you were born a human who likes certain people, or, you know, sometimes you see somebody and you're like, oh, wow, I would enjoy doing things there that are consensual and nice, but you don't. And you know what? That's okay. You know, if I take it a little too far and maybe, you know, it gets to a point where it could cause harm to someone else, or, you know, I'm starting to feel myself get to a point that is bad for me, maybe I need to self-reflect. Maybe I need to take a step back, because I am made in the image of God, because I have meaning and purpose, and that I am somebody who is worthy. You are worthy. I am worthy. Cat is worthy, not because somebody was sacrificed and viciously murdered. The term excruciating comes from the term crucifixion. Not because of that. That's disgusting. How is hurting somebody for someone else's crime ever make any sense? No. We are called to more. We are made for more. And we expect more, not because we're bad, but because we are good. And because we want to do good. We aren't born broken. We were born into a broken world, and we need to do what we can do to make that world better for others. Just as Jesus said with the parable of the sheep and the goats. You, heaven, you, hell. Why? We don't even know who you are. For what you did for the least of these, you did to me. Though you did not know me, what you did to the poor, the broken, the devastated, the downtrodden, the marginalized, the ones that society points at and says that they're not valid, the ones that society points at and says, you're not worthy of life, you're not worthy of justice, you're not worthy of X, Y, or Z. No. You help them. You do for them, and you have done for me. That is, you know, that is the Jewish side of Jesus coming out. That isn't the fucking later fucking changed verses. That's one of the things that we can know for sure Jesus said. Jesus said the complete opposite of Paul. It is not through believing in Christ, but for what you did for the least of these. And you know, I think once we figure those, I was just going to say, once we figure those, that, you know, you are not a disgusting, broken sinner, and that your calling on this earth is to be a light of God or your creator or yourself, or be the best person you can be so that you can see the kingdom of God, which is helping those who are marginalized, those who are broken, those who are poor, and those who need our hand. That is how you bring about the finger quotes kingdom of God. And I can get down with that as an atheist.
No, actually what you said was 100% legitimate. Actually, no, that was good.
And so the reason I say that is like, and I got a lot more that we can that we can talk about and that we will talk about. But like, I hate to see somebody who has so much potential and cares and is a seemingly good person, though I disagree with your political takes, and I think they're all bad politics, and leads to whatever. That's whatever. I think you're a good person. That's why I'm having you on here and talking to you in the first place. And I see a lot of repression from some of these teachings, and it's supposed to be a freeing thing. You know, it's not supposed to make you feel bad about who you are.
It's not so much bad, but it's more of just I don't know. So in my mind, the best thing about Christianity is, you know, other than, you know, I can do better through Christ, is you can learn over time to control those inner demons. I guess you'd call it the shadow, Carl Jung's shadow, you know, the ugly side of humans, the ugly side of yourself. And for me, I gravitate towards what I could be. So even though it sounds like, you know, I'm like depressed and angry and disappointed at myself, it's not like in a bad way. It's more like in a way of just, okay, I can do better than this. I'm better than this. I know I'm better than this. And that's what I like about Christ's teachings. You know, he teaches you to be better than that carnal-minded person who's just trying to worry about, you know, things of the flesh.
You know who did that the best and who is my favorite teacher of that? Have you ever heard of a guy named Marshall Applewhite? He's the leader of a group called, have you ever heard of Heaven's Gate?
Heaven's Gate. Isn't that suicide pact people?
Yeah, it is. And nobody taught the words of Jesus better. Nobody. I have a lot of respect for Marshall Applewhite, okay? I think that what he did was horrid, awful, disgusting, and wrong.
I would hope so.
Yes, obviously. But nothing that he did or said was inherently necessarily unbiblical in the sense that what they believed was that we are called to join the evolutionary level above human, or as the Bible would call it, the kingdom of God. We are called to be more, to suppress our lust, to suppress our human nature. Earlier when you said all the things, you know, that you have problems with, and I said, oh, being human, and you said, yes, all of those things. The goal is to suppress your humanity and put upon you the face of the evolutionary level above human. So when you get to the kingdom of heaven, that you're there and you are ready, you know? And if you want to see what that line of thinking leads to, especially if taken to its rational end, it is Heaven's Gate, where sex is completely repressed, sexual thought is completely repressed, and Jesus himself, don't get me wrong, Jesus said a lot of really great things, but Jesus said a lot of awful, horrible things.
Like what? I'm kind of curious now.
Oh, if you don't love me more than your mother or father, you're not worthy of the kingdom. Let the dead bury the dead. Fucking like fuck them, leave. If you do not hate this world, you are not worthy of my kingdom. Which is something that Heaven's Gate said.
To me, that all makes sense though. Like you really should love God first, then your family, because God is at the head of everything.
No, not God, Jesus.
Well, Jesus, God, we have the Godhead in my faith.
Where do you get that from?
The three separate beings.
Where do you get no, not the three separate beings? The doctrine, the Trinity of the doctrine, the doctrine of the Trinity. Sorry.
Well, we don't do the Trinity. Well, I keep saying we. I'm no longer Mormon, but
you're a Mormon, is what you're talking about. And like, so do you still believe the Mormon version of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit? Like, what about Elohim?
Well, to me, Jesus Christ is the Son, and Elohim, is the Father, and the Holy Spirit is the Holy Spirit.
So you're not a Trinitarian?
I never understood the Trinity. To me, it made no sense.
But okay, so then why are you using Jesus and God interchangeably?
Because this goes back to like all my teachings that I learned.
Please tell me all of them.
Okay, from what I've gathered throughout my years when I was heavily involved in church, is Jesus Christ and his Father, they're one and the same in terms of the business aspect of what their mission is, but in terms of personalities, they're different, if that makes sense.
So essentially, there's many different views on the Holy Spirit or ghost, the fucking Father and the Son. And yes, Mormons are not Trinitarians, and essentially they believe very much that you can become a god, correct?
Yeah, unfortunately, that's the dumb shit they say.
So here's the things that I'm trying to parse. I don't care what they believe. Okay, I don't give a fuck. Honestly, I know what they believe. I study Mormonism, Jehovah's Witnesses, fucking Scientology, fucking all of them. I know what they believe. What do you believe?
I take some parts from what Mormons taught me just because it makes the most sense, but I usually stick with the common sense things that to me that makes sense. That you can say, okay, this goes back to Mormonism, but I'm going to say it makes more sense to believe in that versus the Trinity, for example. So I do believe in the separate beings of the Godhead.
Okay, are they all equal in substance and power in your opinion, or are they different?
Actually, I wouldn't know. Actually, that's a question I don't know.
So that's interesting. And the thing is here, and I guess maybe this will get us into a bit of textual criticism and the Bible and the composition of the Bible. I wanted to start with the composition of the Pentateuch, but we'll start with the New Testament. I think the biggest trick that the Catholic Church ever played was putting Matthew first. I think that is absolutely abominable that they did that. Mark was the first written, and then Matthew, Luke, and then John. It's very important that you read them in order, because we read Matthew where it has the birth narrative, it has everything. Oh wow, beautiful. Sermon on the Mount. Oh wow. Oh, crucifixion. Oh no, so sad. Fucking awful things said about the Jews. Ooh, that's not good. And then you get to Mark, and then you think, oh yeah, Mark's just a summary. Oh, why is it starting with the baptism? It doesn't start with the fucking birth narrative. Oh, well, that's weird. No, it completely changes how you see things. Mark was the first written. Matthew and Luke, the writers of that, weren't actually Matthew, Mark, Luke, or John. That's just what they were called later. Fucking, they had a copy of Mark, and they were copying off of Mark. Mark never had the birth narrative. The first one didn't have the birth narrative. It started with Jesus's baptism. Why am I bringing this up? Because the very first essential story you find out is that Jesus is getting baptized by John the Baptist. At this point, a dove comes down and the voice of God says, "You are truly my son." This is what's called an adoptionist theology. This is saying that God adopted Jesus as his son at his baptism. That's when he became adopted by God. He is not God. He is adopted by God as his son. Then you get into Matthew, and it's at his birth where he was. So he was born, wow, this is, of God, but he's more of he's not God. He is, you're Mormon. So like the term Elohim, when I say Elohim, do you know what I'm saying? Or we're Mormon, not currently Mormon.
Yeah. Well, from what I recall, I believe that was
bastardized it a bit. But.
Yeah. I think that's like the God, the Father's name, the main God.
So Elohim is Hebrew for essentially God or gods. Depending on the context, it's either singular or plural, whatever. Doesn't matter. Elohim means God. And fucking it could mean an angel, like a malach, a messenger. It could mean God himself. It could mean his divine counsel. It could mean any of them. And there were differing levels of divine. They were seen as gods and that they were higher than us, but they weren't fucking God, like they were divine beings, and that was the Elohim. Sorry, I got a fucking fly flying around. And fucking Jesus was more just like a divine being, you get that adoption and shit. And as you go deeper and as you go later and later and later, so Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Jesus slowly becomes more God. And then in fucking John, you start to hear Jesus saying shit like pretty much that I and the Father are one. John 1, in the beginning was the Word. Oh, fuck, my butthole just cringed so hard, and we will talk about that later if we care. But, it's just like, oh my God, wait, you're placing Jesus at the start of creation now? Like, you're just rewriting this? What are you doing here? Oh my God. But you can see that evolution and that growth and that change, and when we get into the King James Version, if we talk about that, if we have time, fucking, we'll see where the Trinity is coming in and was lied about and placed into the Bible. But the Trinity is nowhere in the Bible. It is never explicitly said that fucking Jesus, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit are separate entities or substances, but are one in the Godhead, and they are all equal in power, but different essences. If anyone says they understand the Trinity, they're lying to you. You can't understand it. The answer is only God can understand it, which is a fucking cop-out. It is, and it's cognitive dissonance, right?
That's the question that I got to ask God himself when I make it to the afterlife. Because I don't know.
Oh, fuck. I got a document of like 4,000 questions that I'm going to ask him when I get there. So yeah, we'll add that one there. We'll add that one. But once you realize, oh wait, the Bible doesn't even really believe that. And the early writers didn't believe that. Paul didn't believe that. Fucking the writers of Mark didn't believe that. Matthew didn't believe that. The fucking writer of Luke, John, he believed that. As we see things, when you read the Bible and allow the Bible to be the Bible, you see a lot of things. So I guess maybe we'll take a bit of a step back here and talk about the Bible. You said that you've read the Bible. Have you read it in full?
I would say I probably read about 75% of it.
Okay, so the New Testament and Psalms.
Yeah. No, I don't actually know. No Psalms.
The Christian Bible speed run. Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, Psalms, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. That's the fucking anything written by Paul. Okay, cool. So one thing that I think is super, super important that we kind of actually, no, we'll get into this in a second here. What is your view on the Bible? I know I kind of asked on Twitter, but I just want to kind of flesh out, what are your views on the Bible? Is it the inerrant, meaning no errors, infallible word of God?
It is, how can I put this? The King James Version, I keep saying us, to me now, is the most correct version we have as far as it's been translated by human hands. And when I served my mission in the South, I met some theologians from Vanderbilt University. I love them because theologians, regardless if they're Mormon or not, will always stress to you that the King James Version is just one of many versions, and that
Yeah.
if you really want to know the Bible, you need to probably learn Greek and Aramaic and try your best to find
Hebrew.
old school scriptures or Hebrew. Yes, and so my biggest pet peeve with the King James Version is that it's too dumbed down, and I'm too ignorant to actually understand what the OG version would look like, even though I would love to.
Well,
Yeah.
I have so much. I took some notes on the King James Version because you said some shit about the King James Version on Baby Gravy stream, and that got me fucking going in like I'm so excited. That was one of the things I'm like, oh fuck, dude, just straight boner alert. I was so stoked. I'm like, oh, KJV only, let's fucking go. Oh, fucking just so stoked. And we'll talk about the King James Version. That is your Bible of choice. KJV is like the one that you fucking go on. That's it. And that is like closest to the Word of God. And is it infallible? Like, is the Bible the Word of God and what it says fucking divine decree, for lack of a better term?
I'd say there could be a lot of misinterpretations, but when it comes to the simple things like Jesus Christ is the only way to heaven and the 10 Commandments, then to me, those two things are, are the only real thing that I'm 100% sure of is true in the Bible, in the King James Version.
Oof. Okay, the Jesus is the only way to heaven one is like something I already touched on with the parable of the sheep and the goats. I would highly recommend looking at the parable of the sheep and the goats. Actually, let's read it because it's my favorite. It's my favorite verse. And then we'll come back to the King James Version part here, but I'm going to read Mark 10, okay? Mark 10 is my favorite verse.
Time to go back to seminary. I got you.
Yeah, Mark 10 is my favorite verse or chapter. And I'll go to King James Version. I don't like using the King James Version for many reasons, which I will talk about in a moment in excruciating detail. I always stay strapped right in front of me at all times. This beautiful boy here, the New Revised Standard Version, updated edition.
I don't know. I've always had an issue with the new versions of Bibles. They just seem too watered down. It's like reading Harry Potter then Lord of the Rings.
We'll talk about that.
One's better than the other.
We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that and what that means. All right, let me pull this up on stream here. I'm going to cover your beautiful face for a moment just so I can show chat here. Mark 10 verse 17. This is great for many reasons, and obviously a fucking commie Bible loving atheist like myself is going to love this. This is the OG version. Once again, this is an example of everything, dog. Everything. This is perfect. So Matthew also does this, but Matthew corrects some things and changes some things. This was the first. Mark is the best gospel. If you're going to fucking say the best gospel, it is Mark. And anyone who disagrees, I will happily talk to about it. So we'll start. Mark 10:17, my favorite part of the Bible, the parable of the rich man. As he was setting out on his journey, a man ran up and knelt before him being Jesus, and said, "Good teacher, what must I do to inherit eternal life?" Okay, so he is asking the question that you brought up, that you know for a fact the Bible says that it is through the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ that you get salvation and eternal life.
Yeah.
So that is the exact question that he's asking, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So Jesus said to him, "Why do you call me good? There is no one is good but God alone." No one is good but God alone. Side note, is this Jesus saying that he's not God right here?
I have faith that he's talking about his Father up in heaven, yeah.
And that he is not him.
Yeah, he is not him. Sorry, now think of the meme.
Yeah, and that there is no good but God alone. It doesn't say the Father, it says God, right?
Yeah.
So fucking this here is saying that Jesus is not saying that he is God. Do you agree to that?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I just wanted to get that across, and it's like, whatever. You know the commandments, and we will get into the commandments. Don't worry. Exodus 20 is going to be on this fucking screen in no time, baby. We'll get there, okay?
Let's do it.
Oh, I'm so excited. I love the commandments. You shall not murder. Commandment. You shall not commit adultery. The commandment. You shall not steal. Fucking commandment. You shall not bear false witness. Also a commandment. You shall not defraud. Is that a commandment? It's not. It's not. Okay. We'll come back to it. But don't worry, Matthew, when he gets this after, changes that and fixes Jesus's mistake here. Don't worry. He fixes it and takes it out. Honor your father and mother, also a commandment. Interesting. He said to him, Teacher, I have kept all of these since my youth. Pause. What is happening in this story right now? This man comes up and says, Jesus, what do I need to do to inherit eternal life? And Jesus says, you know the commandments. Don't murder. Don't bear false witness. Don't commit adultery. Don't defraud. Don't fucking fuck with your parents. That's what you do. And then the man says, but teacher, I already do these. I've done these since my youth. Like, I'm a devout Jew. I keep the 613 mitzvahs, not the 10 commandments. I know what I'm doing. What's going on here? And then he said, Jesus looked at him, loved him. Gay moment. What does that mean? Maybe we'll get into the homophobia in the Bible later. You lack one thing. Sell what you own and give the money to the poor, and you will have treasures in heaven. Treasures. How do you get in? Keep the commandments. How do you have treasures in heaven? Give up everything. Nowhere here does it say, believe in me. Nowhere here does it say it says, then come, follow me. And we're going to go around and we're going to spread the word. It doesn't say that you need to believe in me to have salvation. It doesn't say that only if you believe I will, that you'll have it. When he heard this, he was shocked and went away grieving, for he had many possessions. And then this is where the eye of a needle camel thing comes in, whatever. That's not important. What is important here is this. What you are talking about is very much Pauline. And if we have time, we will get into Paul and we will talk a bit about Paul, but I would be careful in assuming what is and isn't clear in the Bible. And here's why. Questions about that before we move on?
Well, I would say then, so are you saying acts get you into heaven before belief does?
I'm saying that fucking belief has nothing to do with it.
Okay, because that's a huge contentious part for Christians, because I believe in both. I think you should have a mixture of both, acts and belief, to get you into heaven.
And that's interesting. I would say, where is that in the Bible?
Well, for the faith part, it's John 3:16, and in terms of acts, it would be the 10th commandment. You have to actively be searching for God and being a better person. You just can't be at peace. You just can't believe in Jesus and sit on your ass all day. Like, okay, if you believe in Jesus, that means you're going to act upon that and be a charitable person. So you got to be charitable. If you have no charity in your heart, you won't make it to heaven. But that's, again, that could be contested though, which it usually is.
Yeah, I would contest that, especially with John. So like fucking John was written probably about 110 CE. Fucking Mark was written about 70 CE. Paul was about 40, 50, maybe 60, in that range. Fucking John was much later. John 3:16. For those of you who don't know, you should all know this, guys. For God so loved the world, he gave his one and only son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish but have everlasting life. Fucking, you should know that, guys.
The way you say that, you should know, you heathens. Gosh.
Absolutely. And honestly, I have the most educated heathen audience. My fucking chatters know more about the Bible than 99% of Christians do.
I could believe that. I could believe that.
Yeah, and I do believe it because I see it all the time. And the quickest way to become an atheist is to read the Bible, but that's not what I'm trying to do here. What I'm trying to do is say is this. When it comes to what you say with like it's a mixture of both, this and that, with Mark said this, and John said this, and Luke said this, and Paul said this, and Jesus said this in Luke, but he said this in Mark, is the Bible is not a book. Okay, welcome, Martin. Great to see you. Fucking, the Bible is not a book. Okay? The Bible is a library. The Bible is a book of books, some of which were meant to go together, many of which were not. And just like a library, there are different genres, you know, so there's a sci-fi section, and there's the fucking romance section, and there's the whatever. There's the law section or the teaching section. There's the poetry section. There's the writings. There's the prophecy. There's the gospel. There's the letters.
There's the XXX version. Yeah.
There is Songs of Songs or Songs of Solomon. Absolutely. You know what's up.
Exactly. So quick question though.
Or
So
Ezekiel.
would you ever recommend the Apocrypha over King James Version?
I don't think that makes so essentially I don't think that really makes sense, and here's why I say that. So for those in chat who don't know, I know a lot of you do know. So there's a couple words that are kind of weird: pseudepigrapha and fucking apocrypha. Apocrypha are essentially the books that aren't seen as official canon, and official canon is a serious issue here. I have a link in the chat here, and I'm gonna bring it up on screen. You can see my stream, right? If I pull it up here.
Yes.
So here's a great, I'm going to pull it up here and I'm going to put it in chat. And I highly recommend taking a look at this, Eric. So this talks about what you're talking about here. So fucking different denominations have different numbers of books in the Bible. Most Christians are going to say that there's 66 books in the Bible. Okay? Fucking there's 27 books in the New Testament. How do you remember that? Well, the divine number is 3, or Jesus was fucking brought back in 3 days. What's 3 to the power of 3? 27. Look at that. Thank you, Bart Ehrman, for that knowledge. But you can see here's all the books, all of that stuff. But there were also books that weren't considered in canon. And those are generally called the Apocrypha. If they're written in someone else's name, like the Gospel of Thomas, that's called pseudepigrapha. It's written in their name. Enoch, yes, exactly. Enoch, a great example. You can see here, traditional Catholic, modern Catholic, Greek Orthodox, Ethiopian Orthodox, and Protestant Old Testament. And you can see the breakdowns here. And where is it? Is it on here? Oh, is it this document here? And it shows the Apocrypha. I thought it showed the Apocrypha on here. Like Maccabees, Enoch. Oh, yeah, right down here. Further histories. So Maccabees and these types here, there's a Maccabean, 2 and 3 Maccabean, like it's just like I think a different spelling. I don't know. But you can see there's different Apocrypha here. And there are other books. I am planning on doing on my YouTube channel readings of pseudepigrapha and Apocrypha texts. I think they are important. I think that it's important that we read them. What they were essentially books that were written at fucking different times, some at the same or similar times as some of the books that were accepted. Some books were this close to being apocryphic, like fucking Revelations or apocryphal. Revelation, not with an S. I said Revelations there. It's Revelation, no S. Fucking Revelation almost didn't make it into the fucking New Testament. It was like the last book added, and it was only added because it could be used as a weapon against heretics. But that's another topic for another time. But it was this fucking close. There are some great books like the Proto-Gospel of James. There are some really great ones like I love, and we read it on stream before, the Infancy Gospel of Thomas, where you get to see fucking Jesus as a child, you know, and those types of things. Super, super interesting. But I think that it's interesting to know. If you want to read it, awesome. Many people don't consider it canon, just almost definitionally. You know what I mean? Like fucking, like they just not. But they're essentially the main ways. I actually wrote this down. The main ways that books were seen as apocryphal or not. I'm just gonna do super quick. Is fucking apocalyptic, apostolic authorship. So was it written by like somebody who claims to be an apostle? Ooh, that's gonna have higher, authority. Even though none of them were. Not a single one. Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, none of them were written by them. Nobody fucking wrote the books that ever met Jesus, including Paul. Paul never met Jesus. Orthodoxy was another factor. Orthodoxy? What? Orthodoxy means right opinion. Heterodoxy means choice. Or as once again Bart Ehrman says, orthodoxy is my doxy. Heterodoxy is your doxy. You know what I mean? So how do you judge what books go into this Bible, into this library of books that we call the Bible, based on orthodoxy? Almost as if the canon was added in the 5th century. I think it's 425 BC. 425 CE is when we see the canon kind of stabilize. The 400 CEs is when we see the canon stabilize. 400 years after Jesus. Some communities only had Mark. Some communities only had Luke. Some had Matthew. Some had apocryphatic texts. They had apocrypha, and they were just reading the Gospel of Thomas. God damn it. What? We can't have this. Orthodoxy was one. Used in worship. Texts that were used in worship. Okay, well, you know, we're not going to count this book because it's not really orthodox. It's not really used in worship. Antiquity. How old is it? When was it written? And consensus. Do we all agree? Nowhere here is it saying that God came down and said, these are the 66 books of the Bible and everything else is nonsense. And the Bible itself, when you read it, references a lot of different books that we just don't have. We don't have them. They're gone. Sorry. Bye. What? God didn't preserve those. Darn. You know, so when it comes to Bible or Apocrypha, I live by the Del Taco model of why not both? You know, I think it was actually Old El Paso. So I think that the Apocrypha is awesome, and we can learn a lot from the Apocrypha and different writings of different groups around, you know, early times, like the Nag Hammadi libraries, a bunch of different Gnostic texts and stuff that are super awesome. And we can learn so much from these documents on what people actually believed at that time. Because when we do that, we see, and thank God I have an opportunity to bring it back to my main point, is that the Bible is a library of books written by multiple writers over multiple decades, thousands of years. And it was added to, removed, transmitted orally, changed, and they were different people saying different things. When we understand that the Bible is not a book, but a library of books, and when we realize it's not univocal, meaning that they are not all saying the same thing. They say contradictory things many times, including the most important things, such as how do we achieve salvation? Is it Mark 10? Is it the fucking parable of the sheep and the goats? Is it John 3:16? Is it what fucking Paul says? What is it? They seem to be saying different things. Is it a little bit of everything? Or like what you said, like a combination of both? If so, how much? Our salvation is on the line. Our eternity, our very existence for the rest of time is riding on this. Is riding on what these people said. And we have none of the writings. We have none of the autographs. None of the papyri or the tablets that these people put their pens to. We have manuscripts, copies of copies of copies of copies. That is all we have.
Yeah.
It's very important. And then to tie it back to the King James Version, which we'll go into next after a second here, is it's important that if we care about these texts or claim to care about these texts, that we understand what the people who wrote these, or what God, if we believe God wrote this or inspired people to write this, actually wrote and actually said. That is of the utmost importance. Would you agree that it's important to know what they said and what was actually meant by what they said?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And I think so too. And I think that is amazing. And like that pursuit of trying to know and learn and grow in my faith and what did they actually mean fucking was a mind-boggling experience and grew. And I know I ranted for like 15 minutes there, but fucking it was the Holy Spirit. I'm sorry.
No.
Questions or concerns, things about the Apocrypha, things like that you want to talk about before I talk about King James?
No concerns, but I was just going to say, I actually enjoy those tangents because, like I said, so when you serve in the South, everybody's a Bible thumper, but very few people are like real.
Actually read the Bible they're thumping?
Well, I mean that, but the very few people who will really check you on your faith, they're the ones who are like theologians. And I got to speak to a bunch, and I actually enjoy, even though they're like most of them were against what I was preaching, I really appreciated the pushback because these are theologians who understand the nuance of the King James Version and other Bibles because they've read them. And so I actually enjoy this kind of conversation because I'm someone who's even in my mission, when I was like reading the Bible in the Book of Mormon, I knew that the King James Version wasn't the end all be all because it was what 1600s. It was still, yeah, exactly. So it was done, or it's been translated multiple times for hundreds of years. So I enjoy when people who are heavily in the Bible and know more than me about the history behind the Bible tell me about these things.
Yeah, and that's awesome. And the only thing that I would say to that is it's awesome that you're talking to theologians and to people and trying to understand. The thing that I would say is stop talking to theologians and talk to scholars. Because you said in your talk with Baby Gravy that you're skeptical, right? Like you are a skeptic, right? Yeah. And like you're doing a head wag. Are you not skeptical?
No. I mean, I am. I just don't want you to think I'm like the QAnon, tinfoil hat crazy.
No. That's not skepticism. That's a complete opposite. I am very much a skeptic. And what skeptics do is they assess evidence and listen to experts. That's what skeptics do. Skeptics don't go and, finger quotes, do their own research by putting tinfoil on their cock and plugging their ass into a fucking plug-in. Okay? That's not skepticism. That's like, hey, we need to, probably fund our healthcare system a little bit more and get these people the help they need. That's more what it is. Very much. And when you're skeptical, what should be the most important is what is right, what is correct, what is true. And true is that comports with reality, is my definition of true. Like, I'm not going to get into some theological, what's true for you is true, What comports with reality is true, whether I like it or not, right? I hate fucking police, and we're not going to get into that topic, but I hate fucking police. It doesn't matter how much I fucking hate police. I'm still getting that speeding ticket. It doesn't matter if it's true to me that they're unjust or that they suck and that I hate every single fucking one of those little bastards. All cops are bastards. It doesn't matter. I'm still getting that ticket. I have to live in reality. I can be mad. I can be angry. I can be whatever, but I cannot deny reality, and say that that's not correct.
Well, I mean, for starters, I would recommend you befriend sheriffs in small towns because sheriffs are more likable. City cops are not likable.
Try that in a small town. Go talk to a small town sheriff there.
Hey, I'm telling you, they are the friendliest people ever. All right, they are chill. But city cops, no, I have my own problems. I don't hate them. I'm just like, okay, you're obviously going to be stressed out. You won't like me at all, and I probably won't like you if we were to interact and you give me a ticket. So
fair. Fair. And Rebel War Cry. First of all, we're talking about, things, having a good time. I'm not a big fan of your no true Scotsman. If somebody says they're a real Christian, that's all we can say is that people are Christians. As well as this isn't a debate. We're not debating anybody. Okay. We're all real Christians in the eyes of the Lord. God bless.
Are we though?
No, I'm not. I'm definitely not.
Because I don't know. Well, I feel like I'm in the same boat of like when I say I'm Christian, I say I'm a very lazy Christian. Because to me, a real Christian would probably not be as queer as I am.
I highly disagree with that, and we will come back to that. But when back to the fucking, I don't think the straighter you are, the better the Christian you are. I highly disagree with that.
Well, I mean, I would agree, but you're still. I mean. We'll go back to that.
We'll come back. But when we talk about being skeptical and wanting to actually know, and if we actually care about the truth, especially if it's something that's so important like salvation, we want to know the truth or should want to know the truth. And how do we get there? By going to scholars and people who know what they're talking about. Theologians are not scholars, okay? They're apologetic fucking people who are there to sell you on their version of religion and their theology, okay? They are there to sell you theology. That is it. They're not there to educate beyond a theological education, which I could give a fuck about. Okay, I only care about theology as much as it affects your actions and the type of person you are, how you view others, and how it makes you view yourself. That's all I care about when it comes to theology. If your theology makes you homophobic, yeah, I got a problem with your theology. If your fucking theology makes you feel like you're a bad person for simply being human and being born the way you were, yeah, that's bad theology, and I'm going to critique your theology. But beyond that, I don't care. I want to know what the fucking Bible scholars say. So I would highly recommend it. And honestly, dude, if you care, and you say you're a lazy Christian, whatever, but if you care, my Discord, I have so many books on there that are fucking TSN turning points, my dude. Like fucking just the most mind-blowing stuff from real scholars who spend their entire lives learning about the most microscopic shit. You know what I mean? Just like the most important things and truly understanding and learning. So I think it's important that we look at scholars and not theologians. And if we are fucking proclaiming any form of faith, that we know what it's based on. And before we get into the King James Bible here, to bring back the ideology test, what would it take to change your mind on Jesus being the Messiah, dying for our sins, and being the only way to salvation?
Boy, it would take a lot, because that is a huge part of Christian belief. Not just Mormons, but a lot of Christians will say that.
It is pretty much the only thing that many Christians would agree on, even though that's not necessarily true either. But
it'd take a lot of evidence, because that's a bold claim you just made. It's very bold. It's almost as bold as I feel like it's just as bold as Jesus saying.
So here, let me take a step back here. A less bold claim. Okay? Just one claim. Jesus did not come back from the dead.
That's bold. That's spicy.
Is that bold? Is it bold to say that a human being did not? You're a skeptical man. You've said it, and we've gone over skepticism. Is it genuinely bold to say that somebody did not come back from the dead? Is that genuinely a bold statement? With your skeptic hat on, not your religious hat? Like Eric the human being, not Eric the Christian.
Well, in the context of Jesus Christ, yes.
In the context, no. Sorry. In the context of reality. In the context of the world that we live in and that actually happens. Is it a bold claim to say somebody does not come back from the dead? Is that a bold claim?
No, not for the mortal man, no.
Okay. So I would say it's a pretty bold claim to say that there is a person who wasn't a mortal man. Would you not say that? If I said I was God, that's a bold claim, is it not?
Yeah.
And that would require extraordinary evidence. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence.
Yeah.
So why do we let it go for Jesus?
That's where the faith comes in. And see, and that's where I
Can you define faith for me?
Boy, how did I define it back in the day?
It's very different. Is it the whole belief in things unseen, hope for those?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so the biblical fucking definition.
Yeah, you have no proof of anything. You just believe that it's possible.
What if it goes contrary to what we know about reality, as opposed to faith in things unseen? Hey, you could have faith that, there is a magic unicorn standing behind you that's doing a polka dance. Hey, that's whatever. That's stuff that there's no way to prove it. We can get into Russell's teapot, but it's not important. Versus, I came back from the dead. I died 3 days ago. Is there a difference there in those claims?
Oh, technically there wouldn't be, but that's the tough thing about religion is
that it requires cognitive dissonance.
Exactly. You need to just take it on faith, cognitive dissonance. You're right. It's not crazy to say that Jesus Christ, a mortal man at the time, who was obviously killable, didn't rise from the dead, because we can't do that now. But that's when the faith comes in.
Could they before? Could they before rise from the dead? You said we can't do that now. Could they before?
I'd say, I'm trying to think of times in the Bible prior to Jesus where people came back from the dead, and the closest I get was what's his name? Samson, the prophet, who was
the terrorist.
Not Samson, the judge, but his name Samson, the prophet. Saul's prophet. He was dead, but he came back from the dead as a ghost. Samuel. Sorry, Samuel.
Samuel came back. He didn't come back from the dead. Saul went to a psychic, and the psychic called him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I guess that's similar to coming back from the dead, but not in the sense that Jesus Christ came back, in the sense that he was perfected.
What about Lazarus?
Hey, that's true. I forgot about Lazarus. Yeah. Yeah, I guess I have faith Lazarus did come back from the dead. So yes, Jesus and Lazarus. Yeah.
What about Enoch?
What
about Elijah?
Did Elijah didn't even have to die. Elijah just went straight up. Okay, yeah, he got translated.
I get Elijah and Elisha mixed up, so fucking correct me in the chat if I'm saying the wrong one. Sorry, but he went straight up. He didn't even have to be murdered. Yeah, he didn't even have to be tortured.
Yeah, we call that being translated, I think. I could be wrong, though, on the usage of translated.
Translated? I've never heard that.
Oh, I guess it's another Mormon term. But basically, it's when you just, like Elijah, you just get beamed up to heaven. I guess you'd call it that.
and that's possible.
Well, that's what my faith would tell me to believe. Yes.
So here's the things that really got me fucking really like interested in this conversation. Were a few terms that all came together and culminated to me to sound very contradictory. And I was like, ooh, I just want to explore this because you seemed like you wanted to explore, and you have been, and that's awesome. Is that you did the ideology test, which is the what would it make you change? The first thing that Buddy asks and that you respect him for is what would make you change your mind? You know, immediately, because if you don't, then you're an ideologue.
Yeah.
Also said that cognitive dissonance is bad and that we should avoid cognitive dissonance. Also said that you were skeptical and a skeptic, and that you operate on faith.
Yeah. See,
Those things cannot. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I agree. And even though I know what you're about to say, because I've always had that thought in my head too. But I always say in the back of my head that, okay, so I guess there's some leeway if you have faith, because faith by itself.
What is that voice in the back of your head? It's a word I love and a word you love.
The voice in the back of my head is just it's that excuse maker of okay. Cognitive dissonance. Well, and so that's one of my biggest issues with that whole entire Peter Boghossian epistemology mindset is just when do you draw the line? Because if you were to draw things to its conclusion, then technically there would be no faith. It's just you believe in nonsense, and so therefore you're an atheist.
Thank you for the follow.
So I try and hold on to some type of faith.
What do you mean by believe in nonsense? What is it that you think I believe?
Well, you're an atheist, right?
Very much.
Yeah, but I can definitely see your logic when it comes to dissecting what the Bible says and its inconsistencies. And I can just say, okay, I definitely see where he's coming from with that. And those are very good points. And so in my mind, I always go back to, okay, again, faith gets that leeway of, okay, you don't have to make sense of it because it's faith.
Should it get that leeway? Based on your model of skepticism and cognitive dissonance being bad, should it?
Well, that's the thing. When it comes to faith, I give anybody with the religious background some type of leeway in faith, because faith is already crazy as it is.
Have you ever heard of the term special pleading?
Mm-mm.
Special pleading is like essentially if I said, I don't want any fucking right-wingers on this goddamn channel. I fucking hate right-wingers. I think they're all immoral and evil, and I hate them, and I don't want to platform them. Fuck them. I hate them. And then I bring on a fucking conservative, and somebody says, oh, well, I thought you wouldn't bring them on. And I say, oh, no. But this guy, I went to school with them, and like I know them, and yeah, they hold all the same ideas as all the things I hate. But
you give me a leeway.
Special pleading.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it is fallacious and only leads us to incorrect it only leads us to incorrect views and leads us into accepting more things based on faith and adding more cognitive dissonance and continuing down that spiral. Because okay, well, we'll give some room for faith, and then skepticism by itself is like, why didn't you be skeptical? Like, it's all whatever. And then everything else falls with it, because what can't be taken on faith? What can you not excuse with faith?
Well, okay, so you're asking me where's the line when it comes to using your faith?
Well, I'm saying is it's beyond just cognitive dissonance. It's when you use cognitive dissonance to excuse your cognitive dissonance, it becomes special pleading. And when we are trying to hold people to standards or ourselves to standards or trying to find a way to get to truth, once again, my definition of truth being that comports to reality, if we allow ourselves to just negate all skepticism, everything else we believed in, because, oh no, it's faith, it gets a pass on ridiculous things are allowed to slip through. Hence evil? What can't be justified by that? Oh, I think this group of people is inhuman. I just have it on faith. We need to exterminate them. I have it on faith.
Okay,
How dare you?
Okay, so that's actually a good point. So here's where I draw the line when it comes to faith, and I hope this answers your question.
Yeah.
If your faith requires that you demonize some group to the point to where they need to be exterminated or they get less rights, then that becomes a harsh belief system.
Okay, sorry. But what about demonizing people in general? It's okay to demonize some?
If you're talking about like the scumbags of the earth, then you should probably demonize them and shame them to their own corner.
But when you base scumbags of the earth on a book that says, well, you're a scumbag, or at least you believe it says that you're a scumbag, and you know you're not a scumbag.
Well, I mean,
how do you base that on? Like, what is a scumbag? It seems awfully subjective, does it not?
I mean, yeah. And I guess in my mind, in the future, when I have my kids, I want to teach them that even though you can be someone who believes in the Bible, for example, you don't have to see people who sin as bad. Depending on, to me, again, it depends on how well you teach them in the wisdom there. Like, I don't know. I try and come off with that wisdom of Solomon or wisdom of Jesus. What would Jesus do? What would Solomon do? What are wise things you can do?
Solomon was more wise than Jesus.
Huh?
Solomon was more wise than Jesus. He was the wisest man to ever exist.
Oh, okay. I see. Yeah.
True.
I can believe it, but what I'm trying to say is there's definitely a balance there, because I do agree with where you're coming from, but then there's definitely a balance.
So what about, so you're saying teaching your kids that if people, sin, then, you can't just be a piece of shit to them. That's nice. That's really nice. If I was wearing a hat, it would be off to you. Actually, here. Good. It's great to teach your kids not to be bigoted pieces of shit. That's great. But what if your religion teaches that who they are is inherently a sin? What if that
wouldn't bother me, actually.
That wouldn't bother you at all.
Depending on how far they take it.
Okay,
there's limitations to everything.
Okay, well, let's say that you're still a Mormon, and let's say that it's 1969. Nice. Good year. Unless you're not white and a Mormon. Your being not white is seen as a curse. You're not allowed to get the speakership isn't the right priesthood. You can't get the priesthood. You can't attain certain levels in the kingdom of heaven because of the way you were born. How does that make you feel? Are you going to raise your kids in that, telling them that, hey, little Billy, you, because of the way you were born, will never attain anything that this person can solely because of the way you were born. But that's okay as long as we're not mean to sinners.
See, that's the funny thing, because I know for a fact there were black people, especially in Africa, who did wait it out. But for me, I would probably not. I mean, the chances of me joining that church would be slim to none. But if I did, I would be like every other black family that waited it out until 1978 and got their priesthood. Probably.
And they are so lucky that the civil rights fucking movement passed, and then a few years later, the very nice Mormon church decided to remove their ban. The priesthood ban on non-white people. Like, so I just want to pin down here that you would stay there and just hope that 1978 would come. You don't know that 1978 is coming. It's 1969, dude.
Well, yeah, I know. But I'm saying is, and it's the same argument that I make with people on the left, for example, not to make it more political.
Goddamn politics.
Yeah, I know. Like, when people say, "Oh, I would never be a Nazi. I would always help out Anne Frank." And for years, I said you would be a Nazi. Even Jordan Peterson said you would be a Nazi, probably. Well, and that's my mindset when it comes to the few black people who waited out in Africa for that, that calling that they didn't know that was going to come. But when it came, they felt like that was a sign from God that they were, fortunate enough to be chosen to finally have the priesthood. So in my mind, I probably would have been that person who waited, or maybe I would have been.
But they weren't waiting. They weren't waiting. Waiting implies they knew that was going to be removed. They simply understood they were less. They simply understood they were seen as less than people, and that they were cursed. They simply understood they were Lamanites and that they were cursed. They weren't waiting for anything. They accepted their position as lesser people.
You would probably have to. Because back in the day, I actually watched some videos about the African people and people in South America with African descent who talked about it. But you have to listen to them. I haven't seen that documentary though in years. That was like a decade ago. But what I'm making is I probably would have waited it out like them, because I would have known
been subjected to it.
I probably just would have just left, one of those two. So I don't know exactly.
I would certainly hope that it was the second one. I would
really hope. I don't know. That's the thing. It's just like, saying, "Oh, I would have, been this certain thing during World War II." You probably would have been a piece of shit in World War II.
Oh well, I'm a
it's the same mindset.
I'm a leftist, so I would have been the Russian communists, murder spinning the fascists. The right wingers, like when people play you would be a Nazi card. I think that it's looking at the United States, like yeah, obviously, I would say a lot of liberals to almost every single person on the right would be a Nazi, and based on like some of the anti-trans rhetoric and stuff, like hey, if push came to shove, I don't know what side you would fall on that. So like it's one of those things that when we take a look at the vitriol we're spreading, and when we look at who we demean, you know, like I don't think that there's a level of oh well, they can be demeaned until a point of, you know, fucking serious harm. I just say, hey, I don't want any religion that's saying that you can demean people, period.
I don't know, because I believe in free speech, obviously. So I don't know. Like I said,
what does that mean? Okay, we're going to go into a free speech. Okay, we'll finish this free speech thing quickly because I don't want to divulge into politics. And the devil has shown up. The devil is in chat right now. So I want to let you know that he is looking for souls to reap. So,
all right.
The devil is here. Welcome, devil. Hope you're doing well. Great to see you. I don't think anyone's a free speech absolutist. And once again, you think you are?
I think I am.
Okay, what if I threaten to kill you and your family?
Well, obviously you can't say that.
Why? Why? Because free speech. Free speech. What are you, a fucking pussy? What are you scared?
You're inciting violence now.
With what?
Exactly. You say you're going to kill me. I don't know.
No. How am I inciting that violence? What am I using to incite that violence?
Okay, you just said you're going to kill me and my family, right? Okay.
For Twitch terms of service, this is a hypothetical. I'm not actually threatening anybody. Nobody feels threatened.
He's good, guys. He's good.
Okay. So if I said that, what did I use to incite violence?
You used your words.
My speech.
Yeah, your speech.
Yeah.
But that's my thing, though. There's obvious limitations. Same thing.
I don't think it's that obvious. What if I said, you know, hey, certain groups of people just aren't human. They're subhuman. What if I said that? What if I said...
I would like to actually debate that. What do you mean by subhuman? Like, what do you mean?
They're fucking animals. Goddamn cockroaches. And we need to cut down the tall trees. Cut down the tall trees.
So what does that mean to you then, that they're sub animals? What is that? See, I would dissect that point.
Yes, let's have a fucking... Okay, I don't want to go into debating territory here, but, you know, like, fucking those words I chose right there, I chose very specifically that they are cockroaches and we need to cut down the tall trees, because those are the exact words that were used during the Rwandan genocide. The people who know what it means, and they act on what it means. I'm not here to have a debate on, oh, do they actually want a genocide or not? I'm not here to have that.
That's what I want to know.
Why? They're coming for you next. You're next.
That
they will. No, not might.
Let me question them and see. Let me see.
Mr. Lion, I know that you're about to eat me right now, but I just want to know, why are you doing that? Can we have a good conversation around why you find it so enticing to eat me right now, you say, as you are getting your goddamn cock ripped off by a lion? I mean, you can't debate with people who want others dead. Absolutely correct.
I disagree with that. I disagree.
All right, fucking go debate Hitler, and we'll have a chat on that at another time. All right, back to the fucking Bible. God damn. But yeah, okay, we'll talk about free speech, but I do want you to know that you just said that you are a free speech absolutist, but there is certain speech that should not be said. I do want you to know that you did just say that.
Well, threatening people is where you cross the line. You know, it's kind of,
which is speech. What if I say I'm gonna? Say
it's no different than, you know, the Second Amendment? You have a right to hold, you know, the right to bear arms.
I'm Canadian. I don't have that right. I don't know. I'm Canadian. We don't have that right. And second of all, it seems like you guys have the right to shoot up schools because you do it every 6 fucking minutes. There's multiple school shootings a goddamn day, it seems. So I don't know.
And mental health be a motherfucker, right?
It's not mental health. We have mental health here too. I live in Canada where we have mental health issues and a lot of guns. Do you know how many guns I have? At least 6. Walk around talking about guns like I ain't got none. What do you think? I sold them all? Fucking, nice. I got more guns than... I'm glad you like that. Fucking... I got more guns than most people. We don't shoot people. Canada has a lot of guns. And guess what we also have? A lot of mental health. We don't go around murder spinning people.
No, there's something inherently wrong with my country. That's why.
There is.
I don't know what it is about Canadians, but I think with America,
we're less religious. We have free healthcare. We're less fucking radical in our politics, right wing bullshit, but we're still pretty bad.
But I don't know, there's something there in America that I've noticed that's been really off, because I agree that you guys aren't shooting people up like our school system is, or like people in our school system do. So there's something inherently wrong with our country where we've run off the trail.
And I don't know. White Christian nationalism, and that might point you in a decent direction.
Well, I mean, to be fair too, it's also minorities, because the massive shooting is usually more than 4 people being shot. So that's a lot of minority kids in inner cities. So it's a mixture of both, not just white people.
I didn't say it was just white people.
I know, but you said Christian nationals. Usually that you refer to.
No,
like
what I'm saying, no, like I don't care about who individually is going and shooting people. I care about the policies that are put in place, implemented, and ensured to stay, and the groups and those that are pushing for that to continue, and for kids to continue to die, especially the pro-life finger quotes people who can't point me to a single goddamn fucking Bible verse. And if anybody fucking says anything about the before I formed you in your womb, I knew you, fucking get a goddamn Bible and come talk to me. Those people are the ones also pushing for more deaths in schools and more deaths from homeless people, more deaths from trans kids, and more deaths.
Wait, time
it's
out.
Not
Don't you guys have the MAID program? State-sponsored suicide. Let's not talk about death. All right.
Hell yeah, state-sponsored suicide. Let's go.
I'm just saying that's way more. That's way worse than we got going on.
All right, fair. Let's talk about theological implemented suicide called reading the King James Version in 2024. If you want theological suicide, fucking read the King James Version. Let's talk about it. All right. Goddamn, to get off of that. So sorry, just to reiterate, because we went on many tangents. Actually, I'm sorry, I gotta do this here, okay? Because this is a fucking TALORX stream, and it's been fucking 2 hours. I hope you're not offended. You brought up your brother doing it. Is it okay if I smoke a fucking dab real quick?
No, I don't care.
Thank you. Chat, it is time for the TOS friendly dab. Thank you very much, Lundmark, mate. And we're gonna be joined by Eric, our comrade in arms here, for a TOS friendly dab. Let's fucking go. Thank you for the follow. Let's go. Alright, get them out. Get out your bongs, get out your rigs, get out your joints, your pipes, your blunts. As long as it's legal, and smoke along. Get that breathing technique started. Let's go. Cheers.
Top dog, buy them all, yeah, I'm burning it up. DPGC, you should be turning it up. CPT, LBC, yeah, we hooking back up. And when they bang us in the club, baby, you got to get up.
Every goddamn day, baby. Let's fucking go.
Amazing.
Maybe one day, if you ever want to come back on, we can talk about the theological consequences of smoking weed.
I haven't read anything about it that says not to, but
I have, but I disagree with them all because, not biblically, but I'm allowed to fucking disagree with them and say, I don't care what your book says. It says a lot of bad things.
I mean,
sorry.
sorry.
No, continue.
No, I was going to say, is it like a biblical thing, or is it something like the church itself, like any church brings up themselves?
Fucking, it doesn't explicitly say in the Bible, you shouldn't fucking smoke that dank, bruh. But it does fucking essentially talk about, like intoxication not being good and shit like that. That being said, though, they did find cannabis in some ancient fucking, I believe it was ancient Israelite fucking like urns at like the temple and shit. So they might have been burning fucking cannabis in there. But I need to fact check that. Put a fucking asterisk beside that. I don't have a source on that, so
That's fair.
So that's that there. All right. How are you for time?
Good, actually.
You're okay?
Yeah,
because cool, because I had a couple of different things I wanted to talk about, and I wasn't sure if we should just skip the King James thing. But let's get into King James. I know we kind of touched on it before, but once again, we went on too many tangents. Can you tell me kind of your views on the King James and why you enjoy it and think it's the better one?
After really just reading through different versions of the Bible, throughout the years, especially in my early 20s, late teens. In my personal opinion, King James is the closest thing we have to a decent version of the Bible. As far as it's been translated by human hands, obviously there's going to be errors there because not everything's going to make the translation. Obviously, there's been plenty of things taken out of the Bible, plenty of books that would probably make more sense in context with other books. But for me, it's more of just that, and also traditional. We've always used the King James version.
Okay.
And yeah.
Do you feel that the Bible is important to your salvation and you being a Christian? And like, do you think that it has any impact? Like, do you think if I just said, Jesus, please forgive me for my sins, I accept you into my heart, come into me and I will live your life and be like you and want to do that, but never actually read the Bible, am I just as much a Christian as somebody who lives by the Bible? And is Jesus just as cool with that, or God just as good with that? What are your thoughts?
Honestly, I've heard that before, and I've always told people the Bible is definitely important, but you can have a missionary, or you can come across a scripture or a preacher, you can pray to God and be saved through baptism and works and belief and be just fine. Don't get me wrong, the Bible definitely helps. I recommend you all have one, but
do you need the Bible?
But do you need it? No.
You don't need the Bible.
No, you need to make sure you understand who Jesus Christ is and make sure he's your savior. That's something I believe in. But the Bible definitely helps though.
Yeah, so I think you said something about respecting this in your video with Baby Gravy. Actually, I think I even have a timestamp. Is that you respect people who want to understand what people believe and why. And that is literally the whole fucking point of this channel and what I do. And so I appreciate that because I respect that a lot too. And I want to know why you believe that. What makes you think that the Bible's not really important at all in your salvation, as long as you know that Jesus died for you, it seems like, is the only important thing in John 3:16. For God so loved the world. Yeah, we don't need to say it again. It seems like John 3:16 is the only thing that matters. And if so,
that and some works.
So the sheep and the goats and John 3:16. That's understandable. I understand what you're saying, but where do you get that from? What makes you believe that? Is that just what you want to believe?
It's just what I've read throughout the years, and also
I don't mean to be the fucking leftist who yells source, but read where? Where does it say that you fucking don't need the Bible as long as you're a good person and believe in Jesus?
That is just more of just common sense things. So for example, here's a scenario I always paint in my head. I ran to a lot of assholes in the South who said, if you don't join my specific church and listen to my specific preacher, then you're going to hell.
Is this your Joseph Smith arc? So then you went into the forest and you prayed for doctrine? Is this Eric the new Joseph Smith?
Is this the DLC coming in?
None of the churches are correct. Oh my God.
I got the answers here.
He has them. Is that the new hat? He's going to put in. I didn't know it was a fucking bowler hat, but you're going to fucking look into that. Oh no.
No.
That's where he found it.
No. Shoot. It's just, I always hated that argument because people claim to be very Christian, but they lack grace for all those people who probably will never hear of Jesus. There are, when we think of Christianity, we just think of, I guess people only in America are going to be saved. And I'm like, that's an asinine way of looking at it. If you're going to be Christian, if your God truly is a God of love, then you can't just condemn every other culture outside of Christianity to burn in hell because they weren't fortunate enough, quote unquote, to be born in America in Nashville, Tennessee, on that block with that preacher. That's
the Bible Belt.
Yeah, exactly. That's a very what do you call that? A tunnel vision,
narrow view. Yeah,
narrow view of looking at being saved, salvation. I mean, and so in my mind, I always go, okay, so it makes more sense that the only thing you truly need is somebody willing to explain who Jesus Christ is to somebody and have them figure it out for themselves if they want to join that cause. But I don't think people who haven't had the chance to meet a missionary or a Christian or whatnot, or understand who Jesus Christ is, will burn in hell, because that's a very fucked up version of God. That's a very picky God.
Yeah. Well, and I think that we should always go back to what the fucking Bible says. What did Jesus say about that? Once again, one of my favorite parables, the sheep and the goats. They say, but we didn't know you. We didn't know who you were. Like, how are we supposed to know? Like, why are we going to hell and these ones going to heaven? And he says, what you did for the least of these, you did to me. And I think that that is absolutely amazing. And like, that's one of the few, not the few, I agree with a few of the things Jesus said. I disagree with a lot of it. But I agree with a bit of it. And that's like one thing that I think is truly beautiful. I think that that is truly beautiful and something that, you know, we should really fucking take to heart. And you know, what you do for the least of these, you've done to Jesus or to God. Yep. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I think that that's important.
So let me ask you this then.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No.
Do you want to finish?
No.
Okay, I was going to say. So, how do you feel about the Mormons' version of heaven, the three kingdoms? Because even though I don't believe in Mormonism,
it's like the terrestrial, the celestial, and the telestial.
Yeah, celestial, terrestrial, and telestial. Because even though I don't believe in Mormonism, I do think that's more in line of what God's love would be, compared to just burning in hell because you didn't join that one church.
Oh fuck, dude. Oh fuck. Okay, I have so many. Okay, yo, hell. Okay, yeah, we can come back to King James. Okay.
All right.
We can come back to that later because it's less important. But it is still super interesting, and I have a lot of info on it. It's interesting. So the question is something like a fucking Mormon version more just than a typical Protestant Christian version of hell?
Yeah, do you think there's more leeway for that belief versus just the other one we just mentioned?
Yeah, well, I think that there's lots of different views of hell, and this is super interesting, and I'm super interested in fucking talking about this in more detail. I'm writing a note here, Mormon hell versus regular, because I don't want to forget this, because I will come back on this. But first, I want to understand, what are your thoughts on hell and heaven? What is it to you? And I will come back and I will answer.
Honestly, hell is a place and a mindset. There's this book I read called No Exit, and it's by a French philosopher / screenwriter. But
I have a strict no French screenwriters or philosophers rule, but I might make an exception.
Oh no, it's good though. It's called No Exit. You like it because this author wrote a bunch of scripts during in Paris during the Nazi invasion, and even though this person had a lot to say about Nazis in their script, he was so good at his job that they just let him write it. Because again, No Exit, you'll love it. It's a good book. I recommend you can also YouTube the play. Point is though, the author also says hell is other people, and so it's about a group of people in a room, and they're stuck together, and it's all their bad choices biting them in the ass. So to me, hell is a place and a mindset. If you live a sinful life and you're not happy, once you die and pass away, you'll go to the outer darkness. That's pretty much our version of hell. And well, formerly that was what I believe to be a version of hell in Mormonism. But I think
outer darkness as kind of just nothingness, like before you were born.
Well, yes, like
nothingness.
Yes, a weeping and gnashing of teeth. Pretty much
weeping and gnashing of teeth as well.
Yeah, you're in a very miserable area.
It's so bad, and there's physical torture. I know the verse of weeping and gnashing of teeth. I know of that.
Well, I don't think it's gonna. Well, when you say hell, I don't think it's gonna be like what the Catholics describe, but it's gonna be a place where you have to sit and stew in your own sin because you had the choice to do better, but you chose to be.
Can you get out of it?
I have heard.
And how long does it last? And what do you believe? Like, I understand like what you've heard, but like, what do you believe? And how long is it? And can you get out?
That's the thing. This is where it comes into deep. Okay, I'll answer the first part. I take bits and pieces of what I learned from the Mormons, and so I'll say, even though that's what the Mormons say, to me it makes more sense. But I'm still not a Mormon, but I believe in that for the most part because it makes sense to me. But when it comes to the other question, this is where it dwells into quote unquote Mormon deep doctrine, and they say a lot of crazy stuff like my mission president thought that you can earn your way out of outer darkness and, you know, in certain layers of hell, depending on how good of a life you live in the afterlife.
Yeah.
Like it's sort of like a waiting period. Like you wait out your time.
And you believe that? Like that's your belief? Or
that's the thing. That's what I'm saying. That's his belief, but that's more of a deep doctrinal belief that's not really established.
Well, that is super deep. Like there are many views on hell, and I can talk about the different types of views of hell versus Hades, and like that's more of like kind of like a Hadesy kind of thing, or like Sheol, like the original like Jewish view of like hell, where it's just like the pit, and then shit like that, and then you know burning off of sins so that you can be holy and purified. But like, what are your beliefs?
I think that if the atonement really is all loving and all encompassing, then it should be able to get you out of hell if you pay the ultimate price.
Atonement being, for chat and for clarity, Jesus dying on the cross for our sins and atoning for our sins.
Yeah. So I think it's possible, but at the same time, I'm not going to bet on that. I'd rather just do my best as a mortal and go wherever he wants me to go on the last judgment day.
Okay. And sorry, so just to be clear, is it eternal, like forever? And is there a good place and a bad place in your belief?
Yes. Yes, there is. Yeah.
Okay. And is it forever?
I would hope not, but I have faith that it probably is forever.
And so what is what in your view? And like, I'm sorry, like to keep pushing on this. I seem like I'm asking the same question, but I want to get down to the root of this. I want to know what you believe and why. Like, I want to know what you believe. So that's why I'm pushing. What is heaven like? If it is forever, what is it?
30 virgins. I don't know. What is heaven
30
like?
virgins? It's forever, dude. Like that's like what? Like even if you do one a year, that's like literally no time. like one every 20 trillion years.
No. Heaven to me would be a place where, honestly, I don't know. I've always imagined it to be a place where it's like Earth, but you're able to just relax and enjoy life and hang out with your ancestors. And I don't know.
With your ancestors.
Yeah, but don't get me wrong. I was taught before that you would, I guess, in deep Mormon doctrine, that they don't like teaching anymore, that you can make your own earth. But I always hated that doctrine. To me, that's so weird and out there. And I'm not saying all Mormons believe it, but that is some deep stuff that you can go down on. So
here's a question that I hope isn't disrespectful, but this is one of the reasons why I love Scientology. Okay. One of the reasons why I like Scientology is one of the main things that helped me question my religion. Is when all the Scientology stuff was coming out about like the aliens and the Xenu and all that stuff, you know, and everyone was calling them crazy and dumb and haha, how can you believe that? And I was like, yeah, that is crazy and dumb. And how could they believe that? And then the things they were saying about Scientologists, some of my like atheist friends were saying about me. And I thought to myself, wait, is it that maybe my stuff looks crazy and dumb to people on the outside, but when you're on the inside, it doesn't? Like Scientology, like they don't think they're crazy and dumb. Nobody joins a cult. Nobody fucking wants to be crazy and dumb. Nobody goes to Heaven's Gate and is like, yeah, I'm going to fucking end my life and dedicate my whole life to this group because I think it's dumb and stupid and a lie. You know, people are laughing at like my young earth creationism the same way people are laughing at Scientology. What do I use as a measure of judging what is crazy and unrealistic and what is real in reality? And that's why when you said words like cognitive dissonance, when you said words like skepticism, when you said words like fucking these things, there was just like, yes, these are the tools, but then they're all negated with faith. Faith is how that continues to allow. Yeah. Faith is how Xenu came. Faith
and that's
is how...
that's my back and forth battle with that too.
And that's what needs to be questioned. And I know you're not going to change your mind or anything now, and I don't want you to change your mind or anything like that. But this is something that I hope you, and I do all the time. I don't pray, but I don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. I use it as a time to reflect and think and question and be thankful for the things I have and to think, how can I do better? You know?
Yeah. That's what I do with,
Why do I do that?
That's what I do with my former faith. Even though I'm no longer a Mormon, I still think of the positives I learned from them.
Yeah, and that's good. And I don't think you should throw the babies out with the bathwater, but I think that like we should reflect on these things a bit. And like I hope like in reflection time we can think and allow yourself to think and allow yourself to ask the dangerous questions. You know, the fundamental, groundbreaking, shaking questions. The ones that we're afraid to ask ourselves. The ones that have been holding us back. We're just like, okay, no. Dissonance, come now. Please. Dissonate. Allowing to fully question faith. Let's be skeptical about faith. Not saying you have to completely write it off. Not saying that.
Oh, yeah.
Let's analyze. Let's think about it.
Well, okay, so I've always had this thought in the back of my mind because I've heard it from atheists and other people about faith specifically, and they say, I forgot how they worded it, but basically faith is good to keep people in line in societies. So in my mind, I think, what if Jesus Christ was just a guy who said some crazy things that weren't true, and religion overall has been used by man to just manipulate the masses into believing in a certain cause to get them to a certain destination within civilization. So with that train of thought, to me, logically, I'd have to go with, okay, so does religion overall serve a better good than bad? And should we keep religion and just keep fooling ourselves? So I have thought about that. Because the thing, again, it's faith. I believe that God is, God, but I don't know he is. It could be all bullshit. But I will say this much, in my mind, it feels like having this faith about Jesus, especially for the Western world, has helped us be who we are today, which is far better than what our pagan ancestors were doing prior, in my personal opinion. But how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I have a lot to say. I was actually going to write some notes so I didn't forget things. Here's my view on Jesus. I believe that Jesus existed. I'm not a mythicist. I believe that there was a man named Jesus. He was one of many apocalyptic Jewish rabbis. He'd go around, travel, fucking preaching that the end is coming. He was a dualistic, apocalyptic preacher saying that there are evil forces that rule the world now, but the heavenly forces and the Son of Man is to come and bring about a better age and to extinguish all the fucking evil forces that are of this world and to fucking do that. He got a following. There are people who followed him, just like many other apocalyptic preachers, similar to Joseph Smith, in that I'm not equating them, but like that, there are many people who did what he did. He just happened to get a following. But what really did it and one of the most important cognitive dissonant moments in the whole religion of Christianity, or what later became Christianity, which was just an offshoot of Judaism, was that Jesus was not supposed to die. There is no fucking... That is not some sort of thing the Messiah was supposed to do. Jesus was not supposed to die, but he was in Jerusalem and Passover. And what we need to understand is the context of Jerusalem at Passover. Jerusalem at Passover was a very, very rough time, especially around that time. It is a time where they celebrate leaving Egypt and the oppression of Egypt. Well, the Jewish community was under the oppression of Rome. And Jerusalem at that time and during that holiday was a very tense time between the Jewish community and the Romans. Jesus, with his followers, was in Jerusalem stirring up shit. And Pontius Pilate was not the nice guy that the Bible says. That's a complete lie, a complete disgusting lie, frankly. And that's a whole nother topic we do not have time to go into. He said, no, you are an issue. And I believe that Judas was one of his apostles and sold him out that he was doing anti-Roman treason for saying that he was the king of the Jews. He did not say it publicly. We do not have words of Jesus publicly saying that he was the king of the Jews, but he most likely said it to his people in private. I think that that's reasonable. He had a lot of secret teachings. It talks about it a lot in the Bible. And I think Judas ratted out Jesus and they fucking murk spun him. It was a very hot time and he got murder spun, and it talks about it in the Gospels. The disciples or the apostles denied him, run, disappear, get the fuck out, because that was not supposed to happen. Once again, back to Mark being the first gospel and why it's so important. In Mark, the first gospel, the one that Matthew and Luke both had, what does Jesus say? Jesus does and says different things. When is he crying in the Garden of Gethsemane saying, God, take this cup from me. Don't do it. I don't want this to happen. Why am I being crucified? Why? Why are you doing this? I don't want this, but if it is your will be done. Oh God. Oh fuck. And then He fucking goes to be crucified. And what does he say? And this is often really fucked up, and I hate it so much, is that the words of Jesus on the cross are put into like the 12 words of Jesus. No, each gospel says something different that he says. Mark says, my Father, why have you forsaken me? Everyone has forsaken Jesus, but now God himself has forsaken Jesus. This was not supposed to happen. Why are you doing this? Why? And Jesus is taken down from the cross, which I do not believe this actually happened. I think he's probably like taken down maybe later, but maybe left up to rot or thrown in a mass grave, as most crucifixion people were. I have no reason to believe that Joseph of Arimathea, the person who was supposedly on the Sanhedrin who gave him his fucking, his grave, I don't think that happened. I think he was probably thrown into a pit or eaten by animals, whatever. That was a part of the purpose of crucifixion, was to deny you an appropriate death. Like, that was the point. It was the worst. You don't want that. It's the worst. And then in Mark, it goes, Jesus fucking goes into the tomb. And then 3 days later, it's not an angel. It is a man in a white cloak saying, Jesus isn't here. And the women were at the tomb and they fled and they said nothing to nobody. Nothing to nobody. And done. Sorry. Bye. Whoa. And then, and this, I honestly don't think we'll have time to talk about King James today, but like King James versions, one of the horrible things it does is John, where is it? John, where it talks about, where it completely fucks up, John, Mark, at the end of Mark, it adds 12 verses. Like there are later added 12 or 21 verses at the end of Mark that were added to make the story make more sense. They were added later, so like I believe very strongly that fucking there's a lot there, and I was about to go off on a tangent that I'm not going to go on to, but the moral of the story is that is most likely closest to the truth. And then Matthew and Luke, the writers of, they're not actually Matthew or Luke, took that and changed it and adjusted it for their own narrative purposes. And then you get the different stories, like the fucking forgive them, Father, for they do not know what they have done, and those things, that was all added later. So I believe that Jesus was a person that died, and then cognitive dissonance set in because he was not supposed to die. And then everything changed with Paul. Everything changed with Paul. Paul was written before the Gospels. Paul never met Jesus. Paul used to be a persecutor of Christians, so there's probably word around of this fucking dude. I believe that. And he was probably feeling guilty or some shit. I'll grant that he probably actually had some fucking like vision or some like hallucination or some dream while on the road to Damascus and fucking thought he saw Jesus and had a trip. Fucking that happens. That's real. Yeah. And then completely changed everything about our whole theology. And like he was firm on like Christ. Like he very rarely says Jesus. If he does, it's Jesus Christ. Or when he talks about Jesus, he's talking about the man, but it's not about the man Jesus, it's about Christ. Like look into how many times fucking Paul quotes Jesus. It's like none. It's not about that. It's about salvation. And that's when everything changes. I don't believe that. I don't buy Paul. I fucking think Paul is kind of a scumbag. I think Paul is the Joseph Smith of Christianity. I think most Christians.
Interesting take there.
Yeah, I do. And it's not a perfect metaphor, but I think that it is very much. I think that a lot of Christianity as we see it today is Paulianity. And I think Peter and James, the ones who Jesus wanted to take the word out to, were and would be absolutely disgusted with what it is, because it wasn't supposed to be a new religion to the Gentiles. It was supposed to be a fucking Jewish religion, and like the Gentiles, they could join, but they had to become Jewish and shit like that. But so I think that there's a lot of fuckery afoot when it comes to like my views on like hell. I guess before I go off, questions about that. I mean, things that wasn't clear. I kind of rambled for a long time.
No. You were clear. Excited. I would just say with your alternative version of the Bible, which which is very interesting. I wouldn't mind.
That is literally the Bible. That's not an alternative version. Is literally the Bible.
Well, that's the thing. You say that, but I would want receipts. And I'm not saying I don't believe you, but I'm just saying it's a very good. You told me a good yarn, but I want to see the receipts though, because it's a very interesting.
Would you ever do a Bible study with me?
Yeah, I'm not against it.
Hey, maybe we should fucking do a Bible study on stream. Maybe we can do a thing here that's periodic and we read through the Bible, because I think it's absolutely amazing when you read through the Bible and let the fucking stories and let the Bible speak for itself. Let each author be each author. They are different books. They are different books. Mark, Matthew, Luke, John, and read them in the chronological order, because it's important. It's important to let them stand on their own and to see how things have grown and changed. Thank you, Applesaucer69. Great name, by the way. It's super, super important. And to see the theology change. And then you get to, like, John, which isn't a synoptic gospel, and it's completely different. It's just completely different. And, dude, if you're interested in any of this stuff, like, the Bible is an amazing book. Since I became like an atheist and like learned more, like the more I care about learning about the Bible, because it is a truly amazing book, and I don't have to let theology and shit get in the way of truly understanding and grasping the beauty and the magnificence of this book, which is multiple people telling multiple different stories from different points of view. They're making some shit up. They're talking about some shit they heard. They're fucking learning and they're growing and their theology changes. Paul, his theology changes when he's young. Yeah, dog, I'm gonna be fucking going up with you guys in Romans and shit. Like, hey, yo, we're fucking gonna go up, and the ones that are dead are gonna go up first, and we're gonna go on up with them. We're coming, as if he's alive. And then he's getting older and he's getting closer to dying, and he's like, oh shit, fuck. Okay, so I guess Jesus isn't coming back now, but I guess it's gonna be soon in a different way, and shit changes, and you see how shit learns and grows and changes as time goes on. Because it's written over decades. There's decades between these books and decades between the life of Jesus and these books being written. Yes, there was verbal and oral stories going around and things like that and all these different things. But it's super fucking, it's super interesting and important to like see and view it in a way that you can actually let it speak for itself. You can let the authors speak for themselves. You can understand that fucking, Luke's view on Rome is different from Mark's, which is different from John of fucking Patmos, the writer of fucking Revelation, and the whole way they do things is completely different. And you see the Bible for more what it is, a story that has to do with people at their time, trying to explain the world at their time, and trying to give hope to the people at their time that better times were coming. You even see it with the evolution of hell, which is kind of why I went on this whole kind of tangent, I think. I don't even remember. But like the evolution of hell from like the OG like starts of the Bible, or it's just Sheol, like don't throw me down to the pit, fucking David, fucking, you know, like it's the pit, it's Sheol. There is some weird stuff, and you brought up Samuel earlier with fucking the ghost, which is kind of weird. And there's thoughts of reincarnation in the Bible when Jesus says, "Who do you say that I am?" And you're like, "Oh, you're fucking like Elijah," or you're like, you know, all these different people, like a reincarnation of like these people, and it's just like, no, I'm whatever. And he does his whole little parables and stuff. Like, there's so many different ideas and thoughts on like, and it grows and changes throughout time. So, like, that's why, like, if people have like severe like fears of hell and those types of things, like, I feel for that, because that's a religious trauma that has stuck with me for a very, very, very long time. And that's something that only like learning more about hell has it become something that's actually super interesting to learn. And see all the differing views on it and how it's grown. Like most fucking like OG Jewish thought is how I believe now. I think it's like just before you were born. It's just the pit. It's just fucking, what was it like before you were born? I don't know. What's it like after you die? Most likely the same thing. You know, and like people can't even get mad at me that that's not biblical. Oh yeah, that's fucking biblical. You know, it's Sheol, it's the pit. You know? And things grow and things become more dualistic. So at the start, fucking Judaism fucking, you know, is a lot about like all these bad things are happening to you because you're sinning. You know, you're doing things wrong. God's telling you what to do and it's wrong and bad and you're bad. And then they start to go and realize, wait, we're doing everything and these people are still being pieces of shit. What's going on? You know, they started getting like that Second Temple period, fucking, you know, like 200 BCE to 200 fucking CE. There's shit changing where it becomes more apocalyptic. Meaning like a revealing, it's dualistic. There's a evil forces that rule this world that are here now and good forces above that are coming and they're going to fucking take over and it's all going to be okay. And then there's going to be, you know, the bad's going to be fucking just eternally just up in fire and gone. and we're going to be happy and good, which is a far sling from just annihilation, just nothingness. And it was a way to kind of explain, why are bad things happening? Oh, because evil forces are ruling the world, but good's going to come. You know, we just got to keep being good, you know, and that's what Jesus was. He was an apocalyptic preacher, and that's the type of shit that he was preaching. And that evolution of hell, you can see it through there. And then the more like, you can't fucking talk about it without, you know, talking about it in its like Hellenistic context with like Rome and like very, very Greek, and like the spirit, like Homer and shit fucking like changed the whole way shit's fucking viewed. You know, like the Jewish fucking ideas, like the breath of life, you know, is what is you, not a soul, but like the breath of life. You know, like when the breath of life leaves, it's gone. You don't have life until the breath of life is in you. Whereas like Christians more like Hellenistic Roman fucking like, oh, we have a soul and our bodies are a fucking cage and they're just holding us back and we need to whatever, right? And that's where a lot of that negative shit that we talked about before with like the you're a sinner, your shit's bad, earth sucks, but heaven's going to be great, is so different from the Jewish view of, hey, you're here, you're in God's image, this is it, enjoy it, praise God, be good, eat, drink, and be merry. You know what I mean? So you can see it. And the Bible is just like, almost as if it was written by man. It grows and changes as time goes. Cognitive dissonance sets in. That's what was fucking really set this on tangent, was that the whole idea of Jesus coming back and him ushering in that new fucking revelation or kingdom on earth or fucking heavenly, helly kind of shit comes with, he wasn't supposed to die. Oh, yeah. Oh, he didn't fulfill any of the prophecy he was supposed to do. Any of it. He didn't fulfill any of the messianic prophecy. None of it. That's why fucking Jewish people are like, why would we ever consider him the Messiah? He did literally nothing. Literally nothing.
I guess I would have to like
and they say his second coming.
I would have to go over what they were looking for and expecting from him to, to fix. Because, I don't know, actually. Because I have faith that he did exactly what he was supposed to do, sacrifice himself.
But this is the thing when it comes to the whole kind of framing of this is, what do you believe in, why, and what would change your mind on it? Basically, what is it founded in? And if it's not founded in something, what would change your mind on that?
Yeah.
You know, like what is that based on? And like, where are you getting that?
And we go back to, the argument of it's a bit more harder to use logic with faith, because faith already by itself is like, there's no logic in it.
It is the absence of rationality. It is, despite everything saying otherwise, I'm going to do it. Your shirt is green. And I don't care if you say, no, TALORX, my shirt's black, dude. No, your shirt is green. And like, it is the complete, I have faith that it is green, like it is the denial of objective reality, in many sense. Some things we just don't know. And I wouldn't say that it's faith I would say that it's a guess, I'd say it's speculation on things that like literally we have no idea of. And I think that there's something freeing. I think there's something beautiful. I think there's something intellectually honest about saying, I don't know. And that was the most freeing thing for me. Fucking, and just like understanding that, hey, we don't know everything. I don't have to insert therefore God. Like there's things that we can learn. There's things that we can grow in. There's things that we can, and often I think faith is for what we plug into. I literally have no idea. But I want to believe something based on absolutely nothing, even regardless of what might be actually true and has more evidence for it. It's a probabilities thing. Like, you don't want your fucking car built on faith.
Yeah.
You want it built on sound fucking science. Fucking, like, you don't want your fucking car builder dude fucking being like, you know what? I should probably put this nut on that fucking bolt there, but it'll be fine. They know it's not going to be fine, but it'll be fine. It's fine. Get it out. It's fine. Whatever. And it's just like, dude, you just like, you don't have to, we don't want that. Like, we don't want that fucking cognitive dissonance in there. Like, it's important that that we take that out. And so I guess the main reason that I went on this tangent, but I guess you asked like kind of my beliefs on like heaven and hell and shit. I believe that it's just over, and that it's darkness. But what kind of got me onto the whole tangent was the whole, you said that one idea of fucking hell or heaven level, I can't quite exactly remember what it was, just seemed crazy, and didn't seem right. When judging, you know, afterlife probabilities, assuming that there is one and like what's going to happen, what do you use as a measure of what is and what isn't? I think you said crazy, you know, like how do you say what is more likely? Like you can say like, oh, I think one's more likely, but what is that based on?
I guess for me, well, okay, so a little backtrack. The sole reason why I left the church was because I kept digging and I kept looking at stuff that Joseph Smith did and Brigham Young said and did.
Oh yeah, baby, you're skeptical.
Exactly. So I had to ask myself, okay, so if the church has to, for example, I believe it was 1878, correct me if I'm wrong, Utah became a state because they got rid of their polygamy. But polygamy was supposed to be like of God.
Oh yeah, of course it is. It's definitely of God. It's in the Bible.
Yeah, but if it's of God, then why would the president at the time override God's commandment that polygamy was justified in the true church? And so that's, to me, that's when you start to self contradict yourself. You have to say, okay, obviously something isn't right, and obviously, you know, polygamy is definitely immoral and wrong.
But is it? And what do you base that on? Not the Bible. Certainly not the Bible.
I would base that on just, okay, so
almost every biblical patriarch, not literally every biblical like big figure, especially Old Testament, was polytheist. I mean, not polytheist, polygamist. Almost every single one.
Was Moses a polygamist? I don't think he was. I think Solomon.
He had Sarah. He had Sarah. Somebody fact check. Was Moses the only one who didn't have multiple wives? Fucking Solomon, fucking David, Noah, I believe.
I don't think did Noah. I think it's maybe, I don't know. You see, it's been a while since I've read into that stuff, but I think it was a very select few prophets back in the day. But at the same time, it's immoral now.
Moses had one? Okay, thank you.
It was just immoral. I mean, I guess you can say it's immoral now, but at the same time, let's just say I was like a, you know, fanatical Mormon in Utah who was a polygamist, which we still have those here. They still exist in Utah. But let's just say I was one of them. Technically, I would be morally justified in having multiple wives because that's what my faith dictates. But would it make it right? So I don't know. I mean, overall, for me, from the outside looking in, to me, it's not good to have multiple wives. It just doesn't feel right to me morally.
Okay.
But obviously, other cultures too have multiple wives. So,
what is that moral system based on that you say just doesn't feel right? When you say it doesn't feel right, what is that? What is that feeling? Because it's not God. It's not the Bible clearly saying that you should not have, you know, and you can quote fucking Genesis fucking 1 saying that and he made them two or one flesh or whatever. Fucking say that to the fucking other ones. You know, like
I always grew up thinking that marriage is like a sacred institution, which I still think it is. It's a very sacred institution. It should involve, you know, two people. That's it. But also, I get a bad taste about polygamy just because of, you know, obviously being Mormon for like 5-6 years and also learning about the whole entire issue in Waco, Texas in the 90s with the Davidians and his multiple wives. And then learning about how Joseph Smith would very slyly send people off on missions and then marry their wives and marry underage women.
Oh, to me, many. He had like 40-something wives. He had a lot of wives.
Yeah. And same thing with like, you know, even in, I'm pretty sure you can look in like Islamic culture or, you know, Hindu or Buddhist religions, or actually not Buddhist and Hindu, but I'd say Islamic, Christianity, and Judaism, they have this habit of just doing things to me.
Property.
Yes. And morally, that's wrong.
But is it? Wrong. So yes, I agree. It definitely is. So actually, okay, we can come back to the heaven and hell shit, but we need to bring up the 10 Commandments here. Because like the 10 Commandments, you're a fan of the 10 Commandments, correct? Exodus 20. I'm gonna pull it up here. Exodus 20. Because I think like in our chat said something about how like even atheists can agree on the Ten Commandments, and you're right. Most atheists can say the Ten Commandments are good, but they don't fucking know the Ten Commandments, and goddamn shame on them. And I honestly think that every Christian who says anything homophobic should immediately have to recite the Ten Commandments in fucking order. Like I can do it, they better be able to fucking do it. You know, especially if that's what your whole life is supposedly on. So let's bring up the fucking Ten Commandments here. And actually, I can bring it up on a different screen so we can see it. And you.
All right. I also turned to it also. So yeah.
Oh yeah, baby. Okay, you got the KJV, and I got the based version, the fucking NRSVUE. All right. So the Ten Commandments, fucking are. You would say they were important? Like,
yeah.
Would you say that they are like the foundation and like the key? Would you say that they are like fucking what like Prager you would say essentially like that they are what like our whole society is based off of and it's all we need to live moral lives?
I would agree with that actually.
You would agree with that? Like no more, no less?
Yeah, I feel like because it's very simple, just 10 things.
Okay. Do you think that they should add anything before we get into them? Like, I'm not trying to like corner you or anything
no,
like
no,
that,
no.
and I don't may sound like it, but I just want to know, like, before we read through them here, like, we should all know the Ten Commandments, right? We think that our lives revolve around them. We should all know the Ten Commandments. Should there be anything added to them?
Well, since Moses actually tried giving us more and we fucked that up and gave us just 10 instead, I think it says a lot about us as humans that 10 is as far as we can go mentally and morally.
Where did it say that he only gave us fucking 10 and that we couldn't be capable of that? Well, 613 mitzvahs and fucking Jewish people fucking...
well, I forgot where exactly. I think it was Exodus, but basically he went up to the mountain the first time.
Yeah, he dropped them and he just couldn't fucking... Yeah, I think it's Exodus 27, I believe. But it doesn't say, like, you only have to follow these fucking 10 rules.
I know, but he had more. But instead he said, okay, let me just give you less. I'm paraphrasing, but
he essentially fucking gave him like the gist. It was kind of like a fucking back to Mormonism, kind of when he got the plate stolen, and he's like, "Well, I can't rewrite it, so I'm going to give you the gist." And they are certainly not the same. We did a whole stream going over because the Ten Commandments, finger quotes, or the writings as they're known, I think, or the words, the 10 words. I think that's what it is. Fucking like there's Exodus 20, I think 27, and then like Deuteronomy something. Where it like re-says them and they're different. But Exodus 20 is what people are generally fucking talking about. So like you wouldn't add anything to the 10 Commandments, so you think they're perfect and like great? Okay. Yeah, we'll fucking go for like another like 50. Oh fuck, we don't have enough time. Fucking okay, we'll go through these quick here. Fucking we're getting fucking late here. I'm sorry. I just checked the time. Right. We're running. But all right. So fucking I am the Lord your God who brought you out of Egypt, out of the house of slavery. You shall have no other gods before me. Often shortened to just you shall have no other gods before me. Right?
Yeah.
Fucking as an atheist, I don't agree. I don't care. If I'm making 10 rules that the world should live by, this is not important to me in any way, shape, or form and is a waste of space. And there's other things that I would add, and I'll tell you them after. You shall not make yourself an idol, whether in the form of anything that is in heaven above or on earth beneath, or that is in the waters underneath the earth. You shall not bow down to them or serve them, for I am the Lord your God. I am a jealous God, punishing children for the iniquity of parents to the 3rd and 4th generation for those who reject me. Even though in the Bible it also says that he would never punish anybody for the sins of others, it's very clear that he punishes people to the 3rd and 4th generation for the iniquity of others. Based on this, God's punishing you for the sins of your fathers. It says that there, right there in Genesis 20, verse 5. But showing steadfast love for thousands of generations for those who keep my commandments and love me. So, hey, yo, I'm going to punish you for only 3 to 4 generations, but I'm going to love you forever if you do. I think this is interesting because I think that most Christians who tout the fucking 10 Commandments are also wearing a little thing around their neck, a cross. And if they're super Catholic, they're also putting Jesus on that cross, which is an idol.
Yeah.
And that's why many Jews won't go into churches, because it's a house of idolatry, because Christians have idols. And this is something that Christians point at Muslims a lot about, and say, hey, yo, you guys are like murder spinning people for drawing Muhammad. It's like, hey, yo, that's bad and awful. But at least they fucking follow the shit they pretend to believe. Okay? You go fucking get that fucking cross tattoo, and that little fucking eagle tattoo around that cross there, and go fucking talk to me about commandments. That sounds like a bird in the sky there, and fucking depictions of on earth, and a person, dear Lord.
Well, I mean, at that point, you're getting real, Orthodox Jew over here with the rules. But I get where you're coming from.
Well, fucking, are you not saying that fucking, that these are the most important rules that all of fucking society is structured around, and not one should be added or removed?
Well, no, I agree with what you're saying, but I'm just saying a cross to me doesn't toe the line.
All right.
Like a cross, it's just a symbol. It wouldn't bother me. Every church has a symbol.
Whether it's in the form of anything that is in the heavens above. So Jesus, would you say that he's in the heavens above, and depicting him, was probably a little sus? Or on the earth beneath, Jesus when he was on earth, or the waters below? Fucking, we'll add the fucking little crucifix. We'll make it a crucifix as opposed to just a cross.
Well, are we just talking about the cross itself, or Jesus on the cross?
That's what I'm saying. I'm not like, I think it's both. But either way, we'll fucking say Jesus on the cross. We'll say crucifix.
Okay, then yeah, that would be a tad too far, technically. Technically speaking, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good. And welcome everyone coming to chat. I'm doing an awful job of shouting people out. I'm just like, this is just such a great conversation. And I've been wanting to talk to somebody about this shit for so long that isn't just some fucking atheist in chat who agrees with this. I've been wanting this for so long. I'm so sorry. John.
Oh, the echo chambers, I know, right?
Yeah, well, like fucking like I'm very open to like wanting other opinions. Like I don't know if you'll find another motherfucker who's as good as I am, but also as strict, and will gulag your ass real quick if you do some no shit, fashy shit in chat. But yeah, once again, as an atheist, I don't care. So first two, throw them in the fucking bucket. They have absolutely no merit on life. Period. Fuck it. Don't care. You shall not.
I guess, yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. I don't know what to say. I guess for atheists, that does make sense. Yeah.
So like, and for yourself, does that matter to you? Like you're already like, trying to like dance around the idols there. Fucking like, honestly, like a fucking, I would say that like a fucking, a bass, like one of those singing bass is an idol.
Nah, I would still keep it.
Okay.
But I get it for you though. I do get it.
But what does that mean to you then? Like what bearing does that have on your life? That like you care about the idol part? Like what does that mean to you? You just shouldn't like online figures? Don't watch American Idol too much?
For me, it's, I don't know. For me, okay, overall, I believe that you should definitely believe in, just the Judeo-Christian version of God, Jesus Christ himself.
What's Judeo-Christian? Oh, I don't have time to be asking these questions, but fucking, I'm gonna ask it anyway. Fuck it, do it live.
Just do it live. No, it's just the traditional version of things, and I prefer just believing in the traditional, to best of my abilities, version of God. And I wouldn't want another idol to overtake that, like a Buddhist statue. My dad had a Buddhist statue, and growing up as a kid, oh, that's an idol. I mean, it's not of Christ, and it's weird. And even if you were to go to a Mormon church, Mormon temple center, you'll see a giant statue of Jesus, and I'm like, okay, that's a bit much. Yeah.
But like I want to push back a little bit on like when you say you want to follow like the traditional like view of fucking God. Like so far, like you've pretty much like said that like you don't really care about like what the Bible like says essentially and stuff like that, which is like totally antithetical to the traditional view of God, where it is the word of God, and that prayer does not and doctrine does not come from prayer or revelation or thought, only through the word of God that is the text, which would be like the traditional view of God is that he is revealed through his words, not through what you think feels right.
I don't know. I feel like there's definitely a balance there.
Okay. Fair.
But that also takes you, wanting to read scriptures and listen to people and then pray about it. I mean, yeah, it's a lot of work. Yeah.
I agree. Like I believe in putting in the work for the scriptures, baby. I got books on books on books for you if you want to put in the work on the scriptures. Big fan. Um, um, you shall not make wrongful use of the name of the Lord, for the Lord will not acquit anyone who misuses his name.
Yeah.
You think that's important to structuring society? You think if you're making 10 total rules that society needs 10 total rules,
I keep on forgetting.
Your top 3 are don't have any other gods, don't have idols, and don't say my name bad.
I keep
Aren't you a free
forgetting
speech
that.
guy?
I am, but what I'm saying is I keep forgetting that, of course, not everybody's going to believe in the same version of God. So we might have to like cut some of these out for society as a general. Well, obviously,
Okay.
I guess there could be separate rules for me, but not for thee. Like I will hold myself accountable for all 10 tenets, and then you can hold yourself accountable for maybe 5 out of the 10 tenets.
Okay. I'll do at least 4. I'll do at least 4. I'll do 40% of the commandments. All right. Okay. So yeah, once again, I don't care if you say goddamn. I don't care if you say Yahweh. I don't care. That being said, though, if I was speaking with somebody who is like Orthodox Jewish or like a practicing Jewish person or somebody who actually took this seriously, I would never say Yahweh. Never would I ever. You know, unless it was needed. I would say Adonai or Hashem. I would be respectful of that because I respect them, not because I respect these rules. And that's a big distinction that I want to make.
That's fair.
Yeah, I respect them and that they believe that that's important. And I wouldn't want to, you know, offend them by like flippantly using it. Just like you respected my R-word ban, and I appreciate that. like that's great, and I appreciate that, and that's good, and I think that's what we should do as fucking humans.
Yeah.
All right, here's another one. Remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy. Okay, I'm just gonna read that part right now before I get into the rest because the rest has a lot of fucking implications. But how's that important? Is that important to you? Do you go to church every Sunday? Do you honor the Sabbath? You keep Shabbat?
Honestly, I haven't really found. It's funny. I volunteer at a Catholic church up in Salt Lake, but in terms of me going on an actual Sunday church, no, I don't do that anymore.
Okay, so this one you can throw that one in the fucking bucket too.
I mean, if I'm like I said, that's why I say I'm a lazy Christian, because a real Christian would definitely go to church and then work on the Sabbath, or not work on the Sabbath. But I obviously skip all that.
I want to let you know that, like, I don't think you're a lazy Christian. I think you are an average Christian. Honestly, I think you're probably an above average Christian. I don't believe in the no true Scotsman fallacy. I don't believe there are true Christians and aren't true Christians. If you came in here and said, oh yeah, I don't believe in Jesus, I don't believe in the Bible, I don't believe in any of that, but I'm a Christian, I would have serious like, okay, wait, what? But like, I think that you are genuinely a Christian, and that most people, most Christians, most Bible bashing fucks who have never fucking read the Bible also don't keep most of these. But let's continue, and don't care about them. And they only care about them when like challenged on them, because they know the implications of saying they don't care. And I want to commend you on you fucking saying that the ones that you genuinely don't care about. I appreciate that, because a lot of people wouldn't have the honesty to do that. And then 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but on the 7th day is the Sabbath day in the Lord, and you shall not do any work. All right, that makes sense. But here we go. Are you ready? Mm-hmm. These are the people who should not be doing work. You, your son, your daughter, your male or female slave, your livestock or alien residents in your town. That's nice. Do you let your slave fucking have Sabbath off?
I can't afford a slave, so I wouldn't know.
Oh, okay. Well, like, if we're gonna add, I'm gonna do a spoiler alert here, okay? Nowhere here does it say thou shalt not own other people as property. But if you go a couple chapters next, it tells you how to own other people as property. But it does tell you that you should have your slaves, give them the day off. Don't worry, there's another part about slaves coming up to make sure that you got the point that slavery is okay. Nowhere here does it say you should not own other people. But 3 times, depending on how you count it, maybe a couple more, it talks about people as property. And we will discuss that. And I think that if we are going to structure society, I don't know, maybe the fucking 5th rule, fucking 4th rule shouldn't talk about owning other people's property in a positive light.
Yeah, I mean, I understand what you're saying, but that's just a different era, different time period. But obviously,
as if these rules were for that time period and not ours.
Well, yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
But I would still say if you're a practicing Christian who's self conscious about the Ten Commandments, it's still healthy to look at these commandments and follow the do not work rule. You can admit the whole slave thing because obviously that's not going to fly in 2023. Well, at least in the Western world, never mind. In the Western world, it won't fly.
Unless it's prisons with the 13th Amendment in the United States, but we're not going to talk about that.
Yeah.
Slavery is still totally legal and booming in the U.S. But so fucking yeah. So moral of the story here is when the laws that we are supposedly bound by go against every fundamental ethical and moral fucking instinct you have in your body, cognitive dissonate it away, and only use the parts as weapons that are socially acceptable at this time to use as weapons, like the anti-LGBTQ plus verses, correct?
You're asking me when is it okay?
No, what I'm saying is like the parts we don't like today and are totally a no-no, like slavery, write it off.
Yeah.
The parts that some people are okay with, which should be big no-nos, like slavery, the things that seem and are some parts are, in ways in our current interpretation, homophobic, that's totally cool and totally still applies, and we can't write that off because how could you write off the word of God?
Well, for that one, for the whole homosexual part, and this is like the thing that really started the discussion. I remember talking about this with Baby Gravy. It's important that if you really are, and again, not from this point of view of a Christian, but the real Christians who practice their religion will know that homosexuality technically would be a sin in the eyes of God because it goes against the better nature of what God tries to do for us, which is a man and a woman to procreate the earth.
No. You believe in Jesus. No. You believe in Jesus, right?
Yeah.
You fucking listen to the Apostle Paul, all of that. You think that procreation was important to Paul and Jesus and the apocalyptic preachers? You think procreation was important to anyone in the New Testament? You think that was important to any of them?
I think in the grand scheme of things,
maybe any is too broad, but tell me somebody in the New Testament who's like, hell yeah, procreation, because I'll show you the most important figures all saying, don't waste your time with that, the end's coming. I'll show you Paul very clearly saying, do not have children. It's not about procreation. It's about maintaining social hierarchy and norms. That's all. Lesbians are totally cool. Like, I have so much prepared on this that I wish we had more time for. Maybe we do. Maybe we'll spread it out a bit more, but yeah.
It's up to you. I mean, I got all night. I know you're busy.
We can continue down the street because it ties into commandments here.
Yeah. I mean, for me personally, it's just, even before I met the Mormon church, I was always taught that marriage is between a man and a woman. And to lie with a man, as you would a woman, is definitely taboo.
What about what about a woman to lie with another woman?
I feel like the rules would be the same.
There's not. You want me to pull it up? Let's look at Leviticus 18.
Yeah.
Leviticus, I think it's 18 or 22. I know there's multiple. Sexual relations. So it's Moses telling everybody about sexual relations and like what you can and can't do. Don't fuck your sister. Also here it talks about not having sex with your mom, as well as not having sex with your father's wife. Which could be different because you could have multiple wives. Or fucking somebody died or something like that. But that's all in here. What about this? So you fucking if you're a big fan of the homosexuality verses, what about this one here? You shall not approach a woman to uncover her nakedness or to sleep with her while she is in her menstrual uncleanliness. You shall not have sexual relations with your neighbor's wife or defile yourself with her. Mainly, what are your thoughts on having sex with someone on their period?
For me personally, it'd be really gross. So I haven't done it, and nor will I.
That's fair. I'm just gonna pull this up because I think I need to pull up.
But
yeah, here it is, 1822. Okay, here it's in my highlighted text here. But okay, fair. But that is like in like the same lines as abomination as being gay, as it says here. So I do want to fucking say here that Oh, I wish I had so much more time because I have so much to talk about gay figures in the Bible. Jesus might have been gay with the beloved disciple, but we don't have time for that. Look into.
That's a take.
Oh yeah, it is a take, and I'll take that take to the bank, baby. As well as I will strongly say that David and Jonathan definitely were gay for each other, and even like David and Saul a little bit. You know, with like his sexy fucking harp playing fucking armory carrier. But Jonathan and David were definitely gay for each other. David talks about in Psalms about how he loves Jonathan more than a woman. David was gay as fuck, and David is one of the most respected figures in the Bible. Period. End of stop.
That would be a very interesting thing to cover one day,
dude. Well, we need to talk again because like we'll talk about how gay David was, because David was gay as fuck, dude, and it's awesome. Okay, did he fucking have somebody murdered because he wanted to fuck some chick in a bathtub? Yes, but he was bi, and a true bi king. And do you know who else was bi? Your beloved King James.
Okay.
Of the King James Bible.
I would want to see receipts on these gay people, these homosexuals of the Bible.
Look into it. Look into King James of the King James version. The only good thing about King James is that he was gay as fuck. Like, shout out to comrade fucking, he was bi. Look into it. It's very real.
It's interesting because again, my issue with progressives version of the Bible is just I feel like they try and it feels like to me that they try and bend old spiritual things to their own way of thinking. Like
but like is that not literally what you've been doing this whole time? Like literally this whole time.
No. What I have done is say, okay, this is what the good Christians believe, but this is what the lazy ones like me believe, and this is where I stand. But I agree.
So you are a progressive Christian. You just don't like that you're.
No. What I don't do is I do it. Okay, so the difference between me and a progressive Christian is
yours a little more bigoted towards gay people.
No. Sorry. I don't like when people try and bend the scriptures to what they want in terms of, like, for example, homosexuality, which technically should be a no-go if you're a real Christian. There should be no ifs and or buts about it.
Well, but there are going to be, and I'm going to show you the ifs, ands, or buts. And I would hope that if you were intellectually honest, you would understand the ifs, ands, or buts and what can and can't be going into said buts.
I mean, well, obviously, I can't be going in the butts, but I do go in the butts.
You can. You can, Eric. As long as it's consensual, you can go into all of them.
Well, yeah, well, that's the easy part. That's not hard. But what I'm saying is... I'm not going to make a what is hard joke. I'm not going to do it. What I'm saying is, I feel like I wouldn't justify my bullshit to other Christians to try and lead them astray. I'd tell them, hey, you believe in what the Bible says. You try your best to live what that says. I'm not going to try and be progressive towards you.
What if they believe in slavery then? Or that women are or that women are property? What if they believe that?
I would.
That's a true Bible believer. That's what you want.
Well, then you would have to mingle some philosophy and common sense, No,
that's not Christian. That's bending the Bible to what you want. What are you doing? You're bending the Bible to what you want. What are you, a fucking progressive?
No, there has to be limitations, obviously.
Oh,
there has to be limitations. Morally, again, there's that moral line.
So when reality doesn't fit our expectations of reality, what do we call that? It's my favorite word. It's your favorite word.
Malinformation? Inconvenient truth? Cognitive dissonance. But again, I feel like, again, there is some level of common sense there too, though. Like, for example, your whole argument about slavery.
What is common sense? Can you tell me what common sense is, please?
Okay, so for example, the Bible, King James Version, or even your version or anybody's version of the Bible, it clearly says certain things that are allowed that are not allowed. Now, obviously, you can make the argument that, well, slavery is allowed in the Old Testament. You're right. Slavery was allowed in the Old Testament, technically in the New Testament, because that's the era that they lived in. But you wouldn't want to take slavery from that era and throw it in the year 2023, because America specifically had their Civil War back in the day about slavery in general. So now we as a Western world, or in the Western world, frown upon that. So that's something in the Bible that's not specifically important.
So you're bending the Bible to what you believe.
Well, can you show me where slavery is by God's decree okay in the New Testament?
In the New Testament? Well, we're called to be slaves to Christ, which I know isn't necessarily the same thing at all.
I'll take that.
What I can.
I'll take that slavery.
Well, fucking. Ugh. We need more time together, dude. We need more time together. I think that, like with some fucking like I hope you think about this conversation tonight and just like reflect and think on these things, because I think they're really important, and I hope we can talk again. I really do, because there's so much to explore here. But I forget, what were you saying right before I went off on this? Fuck. I can't fucking remember. I can't remember. But yes, the Bible. I can't tell you where it says that slavery is good, but I can tell you where it says that slavery is okay. Paul makes it clear that you are to come to Christ however you are, free or slave. If you are a slave, you are not to search for your freedom. You are to accept your position. If you are to be freed, then awesome, take it. People point to the book of Philemon, which is essentially a very short letter of Paul writing to his buddy who had a slave. And he was saying to his buddy on the slave, like, hey, he's a good dude. You should let this particular guy free so he can come essentially be my slave and follow me around and fucking preach. It says, Paul talks about how in Christ there will be no man, no woman. There will be no free, no slave. We will all be essentially equal. But he does not say that slavery is bad. He in no way says that slavery is something that we shouldn't do, but rather the opposite. And that it's fine and you should be okay with it. And you should just accept your lot.
So then, would that be like a cultural thing they did in the East? Or would it be like something that's biblically important for us to do to one another? Does it hold a purpose?
Regardless of my answer here, you are bending the text. What does the text say?
I'm not changing it.
And don't get me wrong. I think that it's important. I think it's important to take things in their cultural context, because I do not believe that it applies to us now in any way. I don't think it applies.
Okay,
to us.
So we agree. We use some type of thinking mechanisms to understand what's okay and what's not okay based off cultural differences.
Yes, but the difference between us is like I see the Bible as just a book, as opposed to anything that has anything to do with actual salvation or any actual belief or faith in said book. That's the difference. I don't believe any of this. You do. That's kind of that separation there, right? So that's why, yes, I make a clear separation there. But that's because we have two very different perspectives on what is. That makes sense? So I'm saying that, yes, you are right. The Bible is solely a product of its time and applies solely to its time. It has nothing to do with us now. And you're saying it has stuff to do with us now, and we should structure our book, our society on this, but take it in its context, it's a product of its time, so no, it doesn't actually fully do it. Do you see the difference? I'm saying it has no part. You're saying it does have part. I think understanding context is important, and that's why if context is important to you and cultural context is important to you, you should never make a take like the Bible says that our current understanding of homosexuality is bad. Because we understand context, right?
Well, yes, but at the same time, then you would have to contend with 99% of the Christian faith throughout human history.
We got our Jewish comrade in chat right now, asking about the laws that are followed. That's exactly what we're talking about right now, fucking CZ.
But, because I already gave you a leeway with the, I guess technically society only needs maybe 4 or 5 out of the 10 commandments.
We're not even done. We're only on 4.
Yeah.
And so far, we haven't really needed any of them.
But I would say, in general, it is definitely hard to argue against majority of what Christendom have believed in for 2,000 years when it comes to homosexuality and marriage between being between a man and a woman.
It's very easy to argue against it. It's what's hard is for people to put aside their faith, and if they truly want to be, skeptical and see what's best and actual and real and actually harmful or helpful and not harmful to society.
Well, so are we saying these things to make people feel good? Like, are we excusing the sin of homosexuality and we try and make room for it?
Okay, let's talk about fucking it. So let's get into fucking Leviticus 18 verse 22. Once again, to the whole
All right.
lesbian thing. You shall not lie with a male as with a woman. It is an abomination. You shall not have sexual relations with any animal and defile yourself with it. Nor shall any woman give herself to an animal and have sexual relations with it. It is a perversion. Then it goes on, do not defile yourselves in these ways, blah, 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 blah. Now I tell you, is it okay? Now I ask you again, is it okay for a woman to sleep with a woman how she wants to? What does the Bible say about this? And then we'll get into the why it's only men in a second here, and why it has nothing to do with what we fucking understand. Very little to do. I'll be precise with my speech like Jordan Peterson would want. What is it okay for, are lesbians okay?
I would say no.
Why?
Well,
are you bending the word of God to your belief?
No, it'd be inconsistent. That's why. If it's not okay for men to do it,
we haven't talked about the Talmud yet. That's another stream.
Well, yeah, but why would it be okay for women to do it? And again, I'm not saying you're wrong, but what I'm saying is it's hard to argue against 2,000 years of established, quote unquote, established doctrine that most Christians believe in.
I don't care what most Christians believe in. What do you believe in? I don't care what other Christians believe in. I said at the start of this, there's as many denominations as people in pews. I want to know what you believe in. Why? You've been saying that homosexuality is a sin according to the Bible, so I want to know what you believe. I don't care what others believe.
Well, I got to go with the consensus, and the majority of Christian talking.
I can read that, Zoop. It says,
They've said,
and sorry, I just need to finish the chat here real quick, and I think that there should be a final mem on there. I think there's an improper use of the final mem. ZZ Fly, am I correct that says in Hebrew? Okay, sorry, continue. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's fine. I was just gonna say and this is why it's frustrating, because again, I'm not saying you could be wrong. I mean that you're 100% wrong. What I'm saying is you are contending with 2,000 years of Christian history, and even though every Christian church differs on certain things, there are a handful of things I've noticed they're 100% on. Jesus Christ being the only way to go to heaven, and homosexuality.
Those are the two things that you're confident in?
Well, and then the Ten Commandments. Those are usually the big three things that most Christian churches will believe in.
I don't care what they believe. What do you believe?
Well, again,
okay, yeah.
Well, I believe in what they believe in when it comes to marriage, being between a man and a woman, and being sanctified of God.
So you don't have the right, you don't think that you should have the right to marry somebody that you love?
I personally don't like piggybacking off of marriage. I don't want to call it something else, because for me personally, I just don't want what the Christians have. I want my own thing, because I'm not truly following their faith, being someone who is bisexual. I'm not truly following that faith. So for me to marry a man and call it marriage, I feel like that's just, there's something weird about that. A little off.
You don't feel like you're worthy of that?
No, I'm worthy of
worthy.
I'm worried of the idea of marrying somebody, but I don't want to call it marriage, because that's their thing. That's what they call it. I want my own thing. But
I'm an atheist, so I don't give a fuck what the Bible has to say. Why should I get married? Should I have to call it something different? I don't believe what the Bible has to say. Nothing about my marriage. I'm getting married on August 16th of 2024, and my dad's actually going to officiate it. And I made sure that there's not a single religious, spiritual, wooey thing anywhere near there. Should I have to call it a atheist union? Because
that's a good question, actually.
Yeah,
I don't know the answer to that.
I think that it's silly and ridiculous and unnecessary. We as a society learn, grow, and change. The meaning and use of words grow and change as society grows and changes, just like the Bible itself has grown and changed, as we've shown and discussed throughout this whole stream. And kind of what I've been trying to fucking paint here is that things grow and change. If in the 40s I would have said, "Oh wow, you're very gay," that wouldn't mean that you were very homosexual. It means you're very happy. Whereas if we say that now, it means you're very homosexual. Fucking. And if you would say it now, nobody cares. If you would have said that somebody's very homosexual in the 50s, people would care a lot more. And yes, there are fucking bigots and disgusting pieces of shit who care now, but we're not talking about that, just a lot less. Meanings of things change and grow. That's the whole point of words. It's the whole point of everything. It grows and changes and adapts. Marriage college used to be just religious. It's not anymore.
But is it always a good thing though that words
Yeah.
change?
Yeah.
Is it always helpful?
Yeah. No,
'Cause
I don't know if everything's always helpful. Like, is it fucking helpful that like I say "saw dude" instead of fucking "sup dude" or "what is up dude"? I don't know. Fucking, is it harmful that like slurs and shit exist? Yeah, like there's some things that speech is like, oh darn, I don't think that those are great things. But
I
there's
think,
nothing we can do to change it, and to deny it is to deny
well,
reality.
I disagree with that. I think, and here's one of my biggest
That
things
what?
being libertarian.
You disagree with what? Sorry.
Okay.
Just so I'm
Well,
clear.
here's where I stand when it comes down to certain things. Like, I believe firmly in staying in your own lane, which is why I love libertarians so much, because technically speaking, in our little crazy society, we stay in our own lanes. Going back to marriage,
Do they?
I think, well, so far, yeah, I haven't met a bad one, but I know they're
You
out
haven't
there.
met a
Probably.
bad libertarian?
Not yet, but
I'd like to see your definition of bad, but okay, that's another time.
well, one who advocates for non-aggression, but the opposite of that. You know, the ones who don't adhere to non-aggression, if that makes
I
sense.
adhere to the aggression principle. I solely fucking I only do aggression. I'm fucking the opposite of Ayn Rand. So fucking what I do is I fucking talk about how great Social Security is and how awesome it is, and then when it's time to take it, I don't. I'm like the anti-Ayn Rand, you know, where she did the opposite, like talking about how it's awful until she needed it, then used it. You know, like I'm the opposite of her. That's like fucking, I'm here for it. I am for the fucking violent fucking principle, aggressive principle.
I try not to, because if you live by the sword, you'll die by the sword, and I don't know. But point is, though, going back to my original point,
But
I believe
Jesus come to bring a sword.
I would have to like really dissect what he meant by that.
He didn't come to bring peace. He came to bring a sword, though. Did he not? Are you not living by Christ?
I would again. I got to see the context of what he's talking about. What's the context? Because there's a lot of things said in the Bible that sounds a certain kind of way, but probably interpreted differently.
Okay.
But going back to my point though of staying in your own lane, I'm totally okay with Christians having their version of marriage, and I'm okay with queers having their own version of something. I guess if you want to call it marriage, you can. But
And I'm okay with fucking whites having their own versions of school, and fucking Mexicans having their own versions of school, and fucking First Nations and Indigenous people having their own versions. And I just think everything should just be separate, because it's just confusing. And honestly, the Christians only really wanted white Jesus to be able to attend school, and everyone else could have their own.
I mean, I'm actually not against people having their own schools. We got Jewish schools, we got Catholic schools. I don't personally care.
May the Lord have mercy on all of us. God bless. Okay, cool. Okay, well, we won't touch that one right now. Fucking, that was supposed to be like a meme of like the worst possible thing. I didn't expect you to agree with it.
No, everyone has a right to their own. I mean, whatever.
Yeah, no, for sure. You definitely do. Fucking, okay, if I don't wrap up now, fucking, I'm never gonna wrap up. All right. I hope that you had a good time and would like to come back, because there's so much more we can talk about. I do want to get into next time, like focus maybe on like homosexuality in the Bible, because like that was the point. And the King James version, I prepared so much shit on King James and homosexuality in the Bible, because those are the two things I thought we would talk about, and we didn't really talk about either of those. But it was a great time regardless.
No, I enjoyed it. It was good. It was fun.
I think it's good. And I think these are important conversations to have, right? I think it's important to have tools that we use in order to find, our best attempts at truth. Things like healthy skepticism, things like fucking understanding fucking stuff like what we talked about, and cognitive dissonance, and fucking those types of things. I think it's awesome. I think it's great that we discuss what we believe and why. And I think it's good to do it. I hope, I know it was fun, and I know I pushed back a bit, but I hope it was respectful, and I hope awesome. I hope you don't feel in any way disrespected. And I hope that we can have another conversation again. I think it was informative for all, including myself.
Yeah, no, just let me know. We want to do it again.
Hell yeah, tell your brother to come fucking smoke with me sometime. Is he still a Mormon?
No, he quit years ago.
Is he an atheist?
He believes in God, but he's not like super religious.
Okay. Word. Fucking, well, yeah, tell him to fucking come smoke too. Fucking everyone's invited. But yeah, it was a fucking pleasure, dude. And I hope to speak with you again soon. And fucking chat saying thank you. And they all appreciate you being here.
Yeah, no problem.
Awesome. Well, thanks, my dude. Have a great rest of your night. And I hope to speak with you again.
All right. I'll see you.
Bye. Well, that was a fucking awesome fucking conversation. I had so much more fucking information. I had so much, and I appreciate Eric for coming on. I really do appreciate, I think that he was being very honest and open and, you know, saying what he believed. And, you know, even when, like, you know, things were seemingly contradictory or stuff like that, I truly, truly appreciate everyone and anyone who can, you know, say shit like, oh yeah, maybe I should fucking reflect on that, or yeah, maybe that's a thing. And that was a great fucking conversation. I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. Like, there was so much covered there and it was a little bit all over, but like, I was having so much fun. Like, oh fuck. I want more like Christians and stuff to come on. I don't want to be the fucking internet fucking atheist piece of shit asshole that everyone fucking hates. You know, that's on here just being, you're dumb and I hate Christianity and you believe Sky Daddy. Like, I don't want that. I want to have like good, respectful, faithful, like good faith conversations with people and take a dab. Cheers. I appreciate it, and I appreciate all of you guys. And I hope that we can continue to have conversations like this. I hope it was respectful. Oh my god! Oh god damn! Thank you so much, October. I appreciate it very much. I hope it was respectful. I just like, I know like sometimes I make some like snarky, jokey things or whatever, and I test the waters and feel like, you know, who are people I can push back a bit against and how to do that. And I think that Eric was awesome and I was able to push back, and I don't think he took anything like personally because it wasn't supposed to be personally. And so like I thought that was great, and I want to be able to have fucking conversations with fucking people who are willing to have conversations and like, you know, think about things like that. I appreciate you, fucking October. I appreciate all of you guys being here. And I really want to once again say I appreciate Eric and him coming on. I'm sure that little nervy McDervy, you know, coming on to some random dude's stream that you never met before. Thanks, guys. See you Wednesday. Bye.